Right now it's just. What calls?
Okay, cool.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
While you're there.
So I'll let you know, but I'll let everybody know. We're gonna break at 10:30.
Okay,
We're gonna break for lunch, and then we should be done.
Okay, okay.
So, and the thing, yeah, I'll get the whole outline.
Okay.
Hey, Kim.
Yeah.
Morning.
Good morning.
It's kind of like.
Please.
Oh, I like your pictures, Anna.
Very sunny. Yes. We did not get a vote like that.
You did not. We emailed you a PDF.
I have those.
Yes, the PDF and the Excel spreadsheet. So if you want to get your laptop out and work from that PDF, you can do that. If you would rather it printed out, I can have Susie print you out a copy. Who wants a printed out copy? 1, 2, 3,
Yes.
4. Let's do 5.
And there's. Da-da-da.
Because yeah.
I'll refer.
That's all it's over my computer.
Oh,
I mean, we're gonna print that and gonna put it up in the room and
okay, very good.
World Cup.
World Cup. Who are we rooting for?
Well, the US.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, I just check in.
There we go.
I'm not Ireland.
Ireland didn't make it.
Oh, they didn't.
Then we root for anyone against England.
Okay.
And then after that, Denmark or Sweden. Yeah, okay.
Well, Welsh. Well, the US plays Wales. Like, what are the seedings? Give me some. Who's 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the usual contenders are Germany, Brazil,
Brazil. Okay.
Spain, I'm not so sure. I'm probably gonna chip in this one.
Spain, either kind of, yeah, Germany, Brazil are usually always the top.
What is the US ranked?
Oh, we should pull it up.
Yeah, because I
Out there.
We should pull it up, really.
And, why don't we look into it?
So what do we want? World Cup rankings? Is that right?
It's like, 600 years of tyranny. We're gonna get over it. Right.
It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, it is.
I don't know, it's kind of like hit or miss.
Oh, the group, those are the different groups.
But you know,
We're gonna game on Monday. And we're playing
Roy
Royal.
take Mike's.
Okay, so 3, 4 plays, and then the winner of 3, 4 plays 1, 2.
I mean, everyone plays each team and then 2 teams from each group will go through it. So I'm thinking we make one of the rooms the dedicated team.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we've got to find out if we have peak on. All the games are on peak on.
Do you? Or Telemundo? Well, then you have to watch them in Spanish, right?
That's even better sometimes the American comes here.
Yeah, we
Got a nice shorts that guy wear.
I just, I was like, that was a deep, but complicated, like, they can be quiet now.
Yeah.
The US ones?
Yeah.
Not good.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Or is it?
Might be improved. We'll give you guys a shot. Right. You got half an hour.
And we're gonna start in about 5 minutes. See who else we have coming in here. What?
So you raise, right? Transaction, that's raise. No, no.
We go help Cindy, I'll be right back. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was looking at going to the medical field. So I went to school, I went to residency for like a year and COVID hit. And I didn't want to go to school afterwards. So I switched my degree to business and finance. And I did running first, so I had my associates out of right out of high school, but then I realized that you know, it's because of my degree, I still did that 3 years stuff. And learning objects of scholarship. At that point, so well, the private company was like 18, right on high 20 with a lot of them. So far, we were starting off with this and everything 8 to 7 California. But yeah, that's the kind of job. What about you? I made you this up. Right, both. All right. I read that one. That's a good one. Yeah. I hope you didn't. Like, okay. We got 4 stuff. It's kind of a pre-work stuff.
Oh.
How's that bacon?
Oh. Fast, and it's really exciting.
So if you haven't filled this out, go ahead and fill it out as we get started here. For Kim, you watching online, this is the Business Planning Clinic pre-work. So the little worksheet that was sent in the attachment earlier. We've got the actual workbook coming here in a second. And
Thank you. I have it.
you got it good. Great.
Yes. I also got that offer on those 10 acres.
You got it off. Okay, hold on. I got music blasted, so I can't hear you.
I also woke up to that offer on those 10 acres. So
Oh, mutual?
working on it.
Working on it. All right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'll just kind of create a little framework while you guys are doing that. We're getting the rest of the stuff coming along. So most of you I know, I think everybody I know, I do have some other people that are coming that I haven't met yet. So I think I've met everybody here in this room. I was inspired about 9 years ago. No, that's not true. More like 16 years ago, when I was first told about this book right here. My story is I came from the entrepreneurial standpoint where I started a business in '97 that bought and sold computer hardware and software, became a middleman, went multi-state, went online, decided that I no longer wanted to be in that business, but wanted to get in the distribution business. So stepped out of that company into another company and started it from scratch and did development of software, et cetera, and distribution channels and stuff like that. So I really, really love business and models and systems and creating and integrating and seeing something that started as 3 people in a small office that turned into a multi-state company. I just really love that building. So when I started my real estate career 16 years ago, and my broker said, get this book, and this is the systems models you need to work on in order to have a business. I thought of real estate not as just helping people buy and sell a home, but as a way for me to transform my family and those around me through a business that was an ongoing concern that had predictable income. So, so my journey has brought me to a spot where now I'm wanting to help others master these systems wherever they're at in their business, whether it's brand new in the business or you're at what we call a 5th or 6th level business, to look at how to create something that will consistently send you a predictable amount of business. So real quick, as we get started, I'd love to hear what you want to get out of today's course.
A system to follow for next year, a plan to execute a daily, monthly regime that will hopefully triple.
So you'd like to come up with the systems and models to triple your business?
Yeah, I'd like to get my organization locked in and effective and follow it.
Okay. Awesome. Who else? Janet.
So I'm on a foundation, so I can't work off of chaos. So a system that actually runs well, it would be my foundation that I can flow from. And then by putting together my business plan, I have something systematically that I follow and execute well.
Okay. Hey, Rachel. What else? So system,
And
so
get out of debt.
foundation. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair. So you want to learn today how to get out of debt?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
So I want to be able to set goals and objectives that are measurable, attainable, and then also scalable. So the skill.
Okay, so setting goals that are SMART goals that are obtainable. Okay, awesome. Who else? Board?
Create a plan and learn like how to run my own business and create a guideline, so I'm not just like running around with a chicken, like a chicken with its head cut off, you know? And just have like a actual goal and like a plan to follow that it'll put
Awesome. And I promise you that if you stick around for the whole course today and you do the work, you'll walk away with that. I promise. That's not like, I think it'll happen. I promise it'll happen. Anybody else? I don't have any nerds here today, so that's cool. Yes,
I want to learn a nugget or two from you, Dan.
a nugget or two. Okay, I might drop a few. I might drop a few. So this is a working course. It's a business planning workshop. I will talk, I'll have lots of anecdotes, and my expectation is that you'll work and you'll do the work so that when we're done today, it's clarity. You know exactly what you're gonna do, exactly who you're gonna talk to, how you're gonna talk to them. You'll walk away with an operation plan, like an operating plan, the ability to do it. Good morning. So as we look at so working course, blah, blah, blah. Great. So if you have another second, go ahead and go to, now that the workbook is out. You're gonna go to, I don't know what page it is, but it says where I'm going, goals of this course. I think it's like the first or second page, maybe. So page 6. So on page 6, take a second and write down your 3 learning goals. Kim, I'm gonna have Susie email you this file, okay? But if you want to just write down on a piece of paper, 3 learning goals, that'd be great. And I believe, so what we're gonna do today is we're gonna go with the first bit of our thing. We'll go to about 10:30. We'll have a break. You can refresh on the sugar if you need to, use the bathroom, and then we'll go from 10:30 to noon, and then we'll have a lunch break. We've got a fajita bar coming in, so you're gonna want to be here for that. And you're gonna want to make sure you're here after lunch, because after lunch, we're gonna talk about my personal favorite, that's lead generation model. And really kind of for the newer agents here, we'll give you that tight framework of what needs to be done to get your business off the ground. And then we'll talk how to build an organization. And I believe Gary says that we often overestimate what we can accomplish in 1 year, but underestimate what we can accomplish in 5. And so to everybody in this room, each of you will have the model and the knowledge. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. To build a business that can net you $1 million. That is what this framework is here. And if you follow the model and you build it, I believe you can get there in 5 years or less. So, and there's no reason why it couldn't be less. It's just about doing the right activity. All right. So did anybody write down one of their 3 goals that wasn't mentioned. I've got Sydney was talking about setting goals. Aaron, he wants to triple his business. Janet, getting out of debt. Rachel, what'd you write down?
One of my goals is to commit to command and make sure I'm doing my quarterly dishes. And on my process.
Okay. Anything else? Then, oh, hey, thanks for joining us. I'm glad you were able to make it. I hope this is useful to you. Anybody else? Ashley?
Dan,
Yes, Kim.
I'd like to make it a goal to look into maybe getting a designation of some sort.
Okay. What else? Yeah, I was asking Ashley.
Just apply the model.
What do you want to learn out of this course, though?
That's it. Do it.
To learn to do it? Okay. Okay. So how we're going to make this happen is we're going to complete a business plan. The level 2 is completing a business plan and a commitment to following it. And then level 3 is complete a business plan, share it with others, accountability, business coach. Myself, you're happy to share your plan with me, and then have review it daily, weekly, monthly. Make sure you're on track. So I went over, oh, that doesn't work. So I went over kind of what we're going to talk about, models and mindset, and then we'll jump into the first model, which is the economic model, which basically, well, we'll cover that. Then the lead generation model, budget model, organization model. And then there's another one that's been added, which is the expansion model. And then we'll kind of tie it all together and have it written out. So like I said, when you walk away, you're going to have one piece of paper that tells you exactly what you need to do each week to achieve your goals. Okay. So be very, very simple and boilerplate. So let's get started. All right. So the models, and I guess, does anybody build models when they were kids or do it now? Okay. There's a lot of model builders, right? So one of the things that kind of occurs to me about models and model building, or even achieving great engineering feats, is it always begins with an idea, right? It begins with an idea to solve a problem. And that's really what a model or a system is. It's a way to solve a specific problem. So let's use Boeing, since they're right here in our backyard, as a good example of creating a huge company around one basic thing, and that is starting with a very simple, oops, I should go to this one. A very simple, but somewhat complex model for an airplane. Would you agree that the Wright brothers kind of finally stumbled upon the right combination of what it took to fly, for man to fly, okay? And so if Boeing, I don't even know what the guy's name, anybody know the Boeing guy's first name? Founder? Boeing. Bill? William Boeing. Okay, so William came along, and if William came along and started with creativity when he decided to build and develop planes, he might have said, well, let's add a few more wings, or let's create propulsion devices that flap instead of what they used, which were the gliders. If he started with a bunch of creativity, they may not have built their first plane. It might have taken some time and wasted a lot of money. So what he did is he built on the foundational models, 2 wings, some propulsion device, and a lot less weight, thinner. I don't know anything about building planes, so I'm just totally making this up. But whatever it was, he followed a model and then built on that. He used his creativity on top of an already existing successful model. So let me we got some people come here. If you guys ever see that, let me know so I can have that. So when you begin with a proven model and then add creativity, you create a stable business for which you have a chance to achieve your highest potential. If you begin with creativity, then try to add the model. You add creativity to a model that hasn't been fully implemented. And then what happens? If you add creativity to a model that hasn't been implemented, what happens? It falls over? Okay.
There's no foundation.
What's an example in the real estate business, those of you that have been doing it for a while, of applying creativity to your real estate business? Rachel.
Getting creative with different like right now in the market, financing options.
Okay. All right, what else?
I would say marketing yourself, being creative, thinking outside the box, doing different things that are new to you.
Yep.
Outside of your comfort zone.
Outside of, yep. And then if you're to think of from a real estate standpoint, let's say you decided to go door knocking. And does everybody here know what door knocking is? Like a neighborhood for a farm, right? You go door knocking, right? So an example of using creativity before a system is, I'm just gonna go door knock this neighborhood. And then you never go back. Didn't work. Didn't get any leads, door knockings, it doesn't work. That's old school, nobody does that. Well, what's the system of successful door knocking? Does anybody know?
Continuing, repetition, following a plan.
You start to become their neighborhood expert. They see you, you can constantly give them information about their specific home value and their specific neighborhood, which then when they think about selling or buying or maybe having a friend or relative, they constantly think of you, then
Yeah, well, and you're right, that, so the purpose of door knocking is to become the neighborhood expert, right? And a consistent effort is what it takes to do that. And so somebody just showing up one time saying, I think I'll do this in lead generator, versus saying, you know what? The first thing I'm going to do is find out how do the great people do door knocking, right? Well, most likely what they're gonna first do is they're gonna find a neighborhood that has a high enough turnover rate in order to facilitate them doing it, right? Because there are some neighborhoods, would you agree, that maybe don't turn over that frequently. And there are others that it's like gonna be a constant churn. So first off, a proper system, a foundational model is to actually find one that has a proper turnover rate. Then the proper system is to making sure you're knocking on every single one of those doors 4 times a year. Then you're gonna make sure that every single one of those doors gets a newsletter about what's going on in the neighborhood from you for 12 months. And after 3 years, you will own that neighborhood. That's a system. And the creativity part is what you put in your newsletter. The creativity part is not what doors do you knock on. The creativity part is what you say about the neighborhood, what you're doing, the events that you sponsor, the garage sale that you do, those other things where you can have fun and let your personality shine. But if you don't do the basic model and you just like, I knocked on these doors, I got nothing, I'm not going to do that again. It was raining, it was disgusting, my shoes got all muddy. So you what happens, and I see this a ton of times, is real estate agents just start creative. This is gonna work, this is gonna be great, but they don't just build the model out and then follow it minimum 12 months. Minimum 12 months. So that's my 2 cents on the systems. So why do we run into problems as real estate agents who are natural entrepreneurs? Who could tell me? This may give you an indication, but does anybody have a problem sticking to something? Is it just me? Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you. How do I say it? Vano? Vano. Long name. All right. So what's interesting about the entrepreneurial spirit, and the way my coach said it is, entrepreneurs like to dig lots of wells. They like to look at this, look at that, it's fun and growth. And myself, I'm very much like that. I am inclined to look at opportunities and everything. My grandfather, every single time I visited with my grandfather, we'd be driving down the street and he said, you see that line over there? Wouldn't it be great if you had a bread truck and you're just selling, bread out the backside of that truck? You'd make $1 million if you just did that. Or you see that guy over there changing the brakes? Man, you can set up a brake shop right there. You'd be making $1 million. That's my grandfather. He was like entrepreneur to the day he died, literally. And the challenge with him and his business is he had that idea of creativity, and then he'd get bored. But thankfully, my grandmother came along and helped him be systematic about his approach in his business and pushed it through that entrepreneurial model, that achievement ceiling of creativity, to getting purposeful about what had to happen. So thank you for grandma, because she did a great job of helping him them have a great business for many, many years. So breaking through from entrepreneurial to purposeful One of the 6 personal perspectives is what that is, cannot be achieved by will. It's not something you could will yourself to do. And as somebody who struggles with discipline sometimes, you need accountability. Would you agree?
Yes.
All right. So one of the things that will happen is many times people run into, oh, thank you guys, appreciate it. I should make her the co-host. Two. And who is GVDB? Hello, GVDB. Thanks for joining us. Is it Giles?
That's me.
Hey, welcome, Giles. I started putting the letters together. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate
And
it.
Susie's going to make sure you get the workbook we're working on. And we hope you can join us here all day. Oh, do you want to? I did. There you go, Susie.
Thank you.
So a lot of times we stall out because of mindset of fear or limited beliefs. So we're going to look at these myths here, and I kind of want to go around the room and just have everybody read them off. Let's start with Aaron. Aaron, would you read the first?
Think powered by a big wine.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. We're not going to go there yet. Going back. Sorry about that. Okay. I guess it's missing a slide. Okay, so on your book, does anybody have a workbook where it says myths and mindsets about models? Myths and mindsets about models. Should have been right after that E to P. No, no. No, let's talk about it. So,
They're boring.
okay, that's good.
Man, if I do the same
Models?
thing every day.
Boring.
Oh. Who wants to do that?
Super boring.
Super.
I totally agree. with that.
Super boring.
Who else has a limiting mindset around models?
Or the thought of following like one strict plan and not deviating might be like intimidating for.
Intimidating. Yeah. Okay. How about models limit my freedom? Does anybody think about that?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Like you got into the business to have flexible hours and unlimited income, right? Awesome. How about models are just opinions? Like these are just somebody's opinion. Models based on success of others are implemented properly to deliver predictive outcomes. Not really an opinion. How about the model won't work for me?
Hey, Dan,
Go
what
ahead.
if I already know a lot of this stuff? Why do I need to go from page 1?
Yeah, you already know it. Why do I need to implement them? Well, knowing and implementing. But actually, I want to go back to what Aaron said is,
It might work for some people. I don't think it would work for me. So I don't want to, I'm gonna choose not to do it.
you're gonna choose not to do it because it might,
Yeah, I don't think this would work for me. It just
it's just not your style.
suit my
Okay.
personality or my work habits.
Yeah, maybe I just don't trust myself to be
Hmm.
Right, because it's kind of like, I don't know, has anybody ever tried a diet in here and not finished it? Or,
Never.
You know, like, you know, right, but you know, that's like kind of like one of those like unconscious thoughts, right? Like, you don't really think about like, I don't trust myself to execute. Some Liz wants it, or Aaron.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. Susie, you can let them in, right? Let people in. I don't need to change. I'm getting the results they want. Who's in that spot? I know a lot of agents that aren't here today that should, because they feel that way. Right? Because they're like, look, I'm doing 24 deals, it's good, right? I'm doing 36 deals, I'm good. Right? I don't need these systems. And I know people that have tremendous results that are, it's all creativity. And that maybe have just fine for the last 5 years. But in the market, of the moment that's coming up. The life raft that you have is the success of others. Like, what did they do to survive? And, you know, my personal story in 2008, when the crash happened, I had to go wait tables to not lose my house. And when 2020 came along, I was like, hell no, I am not doing that again. Because I learned several of my colleagues, Wes Jones, Barb Hexa, they excelled through that downturn, right? They didn't give in to the things that people were saying is like, we can't make any money in this. It's terrible. We're gonna have to sell things 4 times. They didn't give in to that, right? And we're facing that headwind right now. And a lot of agents out there, they're gonna just say, no, it's just the market. Maybe I'm just gonna go do something else. I'm here to tell you that these models will carry you through this market. And if you really lean into them and buy into the principles, because I can say, it's not do you like door knocking? It's not, are you going to do internet leads? It's, there's a system to everything. What do you like to do? What's the creativity? Now implement that system around your personal creativity. All right, there's foundational stuff, and that's what we're talking about today, is just foundational stuff.
Dan,
Yes.
I think for me, it is understanding the model. And I've done a business plan, but not understood it. And so I'm here to understand the model, how it works, why it works, and that sort of thing. And by doing that, I can actually incorporate that into my lifestyle.
Gotcha. One of my favorite mentors, Jocko Willink, do you guys know who he is? Pretty hard dude, like crazy, but discipline equals freedom. So to go to Ulrich's kind of statement is like, I don't want to lose my freedom. It seems weird, like having to do that. Is freedom comes from having all the money you need in your bank to do what you want, but the money doesn't get in the bank unless you sell homes. So you got to figure out something so that by having that discipline, you can actually have the kind of freedom that we're looking for. All right, so we're going to talk about these myths now. So these are foundational and supportive myths that, and again, the book, the MREA book, was written and researched by Gary Keller and Jay Pappas. So these principles, these are what they found the most successful agent and agent teams were doing to have success. And this first part is always a big challenge for me. And I hope that you can grasp the idea and that it propels your business to the level, because the top 3 things that they show is that big businesses are powered by a big why and big goals. So if you're looking to earn $250,000 a year, would that be considered big by the averages of our ecosystem here in America, median income?
Oh, sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
right? $250,000 is a large amount of money to the majority of people in the world, quite frankly. Right, but in our perspective, it's not really, right? Because we see that those funds are floating around quite a bit. And we're like, well, but 250 is big. $1 million in a year is huge. Now, inflation has kind of changed that a little bit, but still, I mean, I would not turn away $250,000 a year, and I wouldn't turn away $1 million either. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend just a few moments, about 5-10 minutes, maybe more like 5 minutes. And I want you to, on that page there where it says, oh, actually, well, I'll start first. Is for me, it is not about the money. And I think it even says that on this book. It's not about the money, it's about being, so let's talk about the money side of things. Show of hands, who wants to make $1 million? Show of hands, who wants to make $10 million? Show of hands, who wants to make $25 million? 50 million, 100 million.
I don't have enough friends for that.
You don't have enough friends for that. Okay. Show of hands, who needs $1 million? Okay, you guys have a lot of debts,
I have a lot of grandkids.
a lot of grandkids.
Look, there's a lot of like social programs that need help, and I'd love to give some money away.
So before you go further on that, why did other people not raise their hand? Why, when I said, do you need $1 million, why did you not raise your hand, Tony? Okay. Aaron?
Well, all about it, I don't need it, I don't have the debts
Mhm.
that require that.
Mhm.
My standard of living. Get by comfortably for a lot less.
A lot less, okay. Ulrich, you didn't raise your hand.
Well, I'm only 20, so I don't
Okay.
even know what I would do with $1 million right now. But like from a physical standpoint, I don't need it. It's just like later on, you know, like of course you can want something, but you don't need it at that specific time. So, yeah.
I got one, Dan.
Go for it.
How freaking awesome would it be able to help your family that you know is really trying and they can't get anywhere?
So, yeah, and that's where I was gonna go to, because I was gonna tell Ulrich he was being selfish. Let me clarify this. Do you have a mom?
Yeah.
Dad?
Yeah.
Okay, that you love?
Uh,
Okay, cool. If they were to come down with cancer, they probably need some treatments for that.
Yeah.
And let's just say they didn't have coverage. If you could write them a check for their coverage, which if you had the capacity to do it, would you do it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think the money thing is kind of tough because I grew up very much, you know, paycheck to paycheck in my family. And it was not something that was like, yeah, go out and make $1 million. It was just work hard and get by. And it took me a while to recognize that. And actually, it's probably something I still struggle with is I am not somebody that just has to have things. A friend of mine bought me a really nice watch and I don't always wear it, partially because it actually, I don't know, I'm allergic to it. It's weird, like the wristband like irritates my wrist. And it's a nice watch. It's not cheap, right? So that's just not who I am. But when I really put my mindset into where Ashley was going is think of what you can do. And I think you were there too, Sydney, but you lowered your hand and I said me. Okay, is there's a need in our communities, right? The things that we care about, right? Homelessness here in the area that you have a license and the systems and models to get to $1 million. So it's almost your obligation, right? To do everything you can so that you have the finances to help where you want to help. Oftentimes we don't look at it that way because we're looking at what it is we do, and that's helping people get into homes, which is awesome in itself. And it actually, if we create a business, and it could be real estate business, it could be anything, and then that business can give back to the community. Well, that's truly significant, and that's what most, in my opinion, most people strive towards. Okay, so now what I want to do with this exercise on page whatever it is, where it says my big why, is I want you to keep in mind that significance. Because I always, like, when I run into this big why exercise, I kind of get stuck at, you know, well, I want to help my family put them through college and do this, right? But a big why transcends your own family and gives you further. So if money was not an object and you were well taken care of, what would you do to impact the world? And a lot of times that's where we can spend some time this way. So I'm going to put on some music. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. I want you to just go ahead and write out a couple of things, and then we'll come back and kind of talk about them so that we can get some clarity. Oh, Johann Sebastian. Please. Just play music, please. Yes, I do. 4002. Sorry.
There's some serious concentration music going here.
Yeah, it's nice, right? Get in that zone. This exercise is always hard for me because it takes me a little while to get to a spot where I can kind of have clarity. All right, come on back now. I'd love to hear, Dano, what'd you write down for your big one?
A big why is to break the chains of poverty, to give my family and generations to become financial freedom, more opportunities that my parents have given me and they can bring here to America. Give them more time, or to give me more time to spend with those who I love, to educate others and help them build generational wealth and become the best version of themselves.
Whew. All right. Anybody want to top that? No. It's like, yes, sir. All right, Tony, what'd you write?
To get out of debt and creating a way for my partner and I for early retirement and eventually vacation home in Hawaii, my son's part Hawaiian. So being able to go back to Hawaii and end up being basically the next little nesting.
Nice. Rob, what's your write?
That was the shorter version of his book is to I want to be able to leave plain money assets to my children and shorter version of what his is. Another one would be freedom and something I put down. I always have to say, so I can't do nothing.
I can't do nothing. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not wired.
Yeah, right. Sydney?
So my big why is to find a perfect life, to be able to provide for my family. I aspire to give back to my community. I would love to be able to travel back to Kenya and help better the lives of Kenyans. I want to be able to invest in real estate and create generational wealth with my wife. And then I want to just be able to support myself into my church with no reservations.
Yeah, awesome. Vanessa, would you write?
I said to be able to support my family, want to travel more, and yeah, just really like financial stability and freedom. So
Awesome. Aaron?
To provide a better life for myself and my family and others around me, to help others achieve their goals, and then put a roof over other people's heads that don't have a home, and in the areas I live in.
So at a higher level, the homelessness problems.
Yeah.
Giles, would you like to share?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, so my biggest thing is I would like to have some type of financial freedom so I can basically spend time doing the stuff that I'm really passionate about, which is basically mentoring youth. So that's kind of my thing. I messed up a lot when I was a kid and went down the wrong path and And so I just kind of want to be able to give back. But I can't do that if I can't survive, right?
Right, yeah. Awesome, thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to share? Jen?
So, since I was little, I've always wanted a farm. And, that's my goal, is a homestead. And with that homestead, I want to bring inner city families to come on weekends to experience country life, take care of the farm, really, learn how to be a family together without the inner city pressures. And, also, to really leave a legacy for my family, because I honestly believe that land is the best thing that you can hand down, you know, throughout the ages. I mean, you see it, you know, in history, it's land. And so wherever my family is, if they have land, they can pitch a tent, you know. They don't even have to have a house, they can pitch a tent, you know, because I came from homelessness. And I want them to be stable. And I do have some other things that are, you know, really big, like missions. I really want to be able to, you know, go on mission trips and not have to worry about money, not have to worry about anything, and even start cultural schools where they can learn art. And
You got a lot of work to do.
I do. I have a lot of dreams, you
Okay.
know, but dreams take money sometimes.
Yeah, gotcha. Yep. Ulrich, you were gonna share?
Yeah, so I want to be able to like comfortably provide not only for myself but my loved ones. I want to be able to give back to my parents because they're some of the hardest working people I know. I want to be the first successful business owner in my family.
Awesome. Anybody else want to share?
I got three. I think it's not one. Support my family no matter the need. Be a significant donor for wounded warriors. And then three is be successful agent. I've always dreamed since childhood. I've been on this journey forever, but I haven't been tracked to that.
Plenty of time, plenty of time. You're not dead yet. Yes, but. Do you want to share?
Oh, it's real simple. Kids,
Okay,
community.
kids and community. So my
I have
check,
one more.
oh, go ahead.
To live up to my potential.
Okay.
Right? Like, if you can see it, I don't know.
So, yeah, so what I want to do is I want to challenge you guys all to look at the highest goal, right? Everybody's taking care of their family. That's a given, right? But look at the highest goal. What is the highest significant level goal? And focus in on that, because if that is a burning desire to achieve, not that the others have, right? Like, I gotta feed my kids. That's like, duh, that's what we do, right? But if you're shooting towards that highest potential, you're gonna have a better chance of achieving something significant because we connect with it emotionally more, right? So Maslow's needs, is it Maslow, something like that, house, you know, food, Maslow, you know, shelter, food, exactly, that kind of thing. Those things were naturally built for drive. But if you, and in my analogy on our goal setting here is we're gonna, let's see. Yeah, we're gonna talk about big goals. Do you have this page right here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so go to that page, the next page here. So climbing a mountain is a big goal. Now, is anybody here climbed a mountain? Cool. That's right. Mary, you're a mountaineer, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. What was the last one you climbed?
Baker,
Baker, how many feet?
10,000.
10,000 feet. So let me ask you a question. Did you just go out and climb Mount Baker one day?
No, sir.
Oh, you must have done some training, right? Okay. How many miles and yards, now that we have these apps, right, the chat, how many miles and how many feet of elevation do you think you have climbed prior to climbing Mount Baker?
Well, I climbed right here, so that was.
That was 14, right? Yeah.
A lot of other peaks and PNW.
But most likely over 100,000, right? Prior to even maybe your first one. If you just think of going training, go do Mount Si, go do, what are some peaks up north here? Yeah, there's a ton of like little ones, right? So one of the things about big goals is you don't start by accomplishing a big goal. David Goggins, right, is an example of a crazy guy who went out and just ran a 25-mile marathon, having never done it before. And, you know, he had a lot of pain involved with doing that, right? It was like a lot of blisters, a lot of pain, a lot of chafing, because he didn't train himself to do so or build a pathway. So what we're going to do in this next one is we're going to work from the top down. So your someday goal should start with your significant why. Okay, and then your 5-year goal should back down before that. Because again, if you hit that 5-year goal, then that someday goal should be right on the horizon, maybe another 5 years, maybe another 2 years. And then we're going to go a 1-year goal. Then we're going to go monthly goal, weekly goal, daily goal, and then right now. So go ahead and so go ahead and start by writing down your someday goal, and then, and it may be a monetary thing and it may be business thing. We are talking about your real estate business. So along the lines of net income, maybe not gross commissions, could be your 5-year goal. It could be your 5-year goal is to have a big team. So whatever your 5-year goal that you can see at that 5 years, that is your place where you're really looking towards your significant, your someday.
Hey, Dan, do you need to change the slide?
Nope. Think so. I'm on this second point right here. And I guess it says to set your 1-year net income goal based on your someday goal. And I know Sydney had said, hey, wants to know how to set goals. And in this specific exercise, we're just kind of building a framework. So it's not the specific, except for that 1-day goal, but that's a whole nother class to kind of get into that, like setting smart goals. But we will talk more about that later. Okay, who would like to share what they wrote down? What? All of them. Okay,
Was it like from top down?
sure, top down.
Think about this.
Yeah.
All right, I wrote down a someday goal. I don't think it's enough.
Okay, right, tell me.
I was gonna start with that, but I put 50 million a year, GCI. Put for the 5-year goal, 2 million a year. 1 year, 575. Monthly would then be from that 1-year goal would be like about 47,916 per
For a month.
Yep. And then weekly would be like about 11 grand a week. And then daily would be like 1,500. That calculate, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's 1,500 kind of low. I mean, it's okay. It's
So-
right.
So 50 grand a month with today's commission, how many deals is that?
Like 2 or 3. It just depends on how the price of the house.
So
It
fairly,
could be 4, it just depends on. the price.
yeah, that's right. I think that would represent 1.5 million in sales.
Oh, like how much should it sell?
Yeah, 50,000, come on, speed nuts. Yes, thank you. 1.1.
50,000, yeah.
3%.
Yeah, it's like 2.5% or whatever.
Maybe you're trying to figure out GCI.
It's like 2 million,
Okay.
it's like 1.9.
1.9 million in sales.
Yeah, and it's like, I
We
don't know,
give you
average
50,000
house,
units.
average house, yeah, so it's like 3, it's almost 4 houses.
Anybody else want to share how they wrote theirs down? Cindy?
Did it somewhat differently, so I don't want to say, I did $1 million in business checking account. 500K per year with the real estate team in 5 years. 250K per year, and 4 escrows per month. It's my year goal. And monthly goal is 4 deals per month. Weekly goal is 3 appointments set. Daily goal is 25 conversations. I didn't get to it right now.
Okay, no, that's good. So that provides for Cindy a pathway to getting to that 1 yearly revenue goal. And that's pretty realistic. Anybody else write something else down?
Yeah. I think I someday go 20 doors in residential, rental real estate, to support retirement. 5 years ago, 100% realtor with net income of 300,000 annual. 1 year ago, 12 listings taken and closed. Month ago, 100 conversations, 2 appointments, 1 listing. Weekly goal, 3 conversations, 2 pipeline leads. Daily goal, 5 conversations. Right now, set up my plan model system to be.
Okay, very good. That's perfect. Yeah. Super clear. Super clear on the steps that need to take. Anybody else want to share? One more person? Rob?
Someday goal to be retired. 5 year goal is to be set up in Arizona, near Washington successfully. 1 year goal is just get good market. Monthly goal, 5 listing of buyer appointments, every weekly goal, daily goal is do something.
Do something. Awesome. All right, so now you have a big why, and then you have kind of a loose track record for how to get there. Those 2 things you should refine if you haven't, or if you feel they're adequate, great. They should be on your wall in front of you when you're doing your lead generation, right? That's going to remind you. So let's talk about action and accountability. So the 5th million mindset is essential to any endeavor. After setting goals, time to execute your plan and act with accountability. Does anybody struggle with accountability? Okay. Maybe. Okay. All right. It's good. It's fair. Some of you don't, but one of the things that's necessary when flying a plane from here to Phoenix is feedback. So does anybody here drive a car or fly a plane? Show of hands. Okay. So you're constantly making adjustments on the steering wheel, right? You're going straight, but you're constantly making adjustments. If you're not making adjustments, what happens? You're gonna veer off the road, or you could end up in San Jose instead of Phoenix, right? So imagine accountability is that feedback. It's getting information from a third party that provides you with, are you on track? Are you on track with your goals? So some of the statistics, and this is on the next page of your workbook, are individuals with written goals are 41.2% more likely to achieve them. That's good, right? And how many of you didn't have any goals before today? Show of hands, no shame, it's okay. Some of you may have different goals written down. And so right now, by having these goals, you're 41% more likely to achieve. But individuals with the added accountability are 77% more likely. So it's doubling your ability to accomplish what you set out for your big why. I just want to be clear. You're not doing this just because you're being held accountable. It's so that you can achieve that big why. The more often you can connect what you're being held accountable for that big why, the more inspired you will be to do the hard things that are necessary. So you set goals you do the activity, you measure your results, evaluate the process, you make adjustments, and then you set new goals. Do the activities, measure the results, evaluate the process, make adjustments. So this is kind of where I see creativity creep up and create problems, right? Because we have systems, we have models, and people set goals, they do the activity, they don't get any results. They evaluate the process and then they change what they're going to do, rather than recognize, yes.
I think what I notice is that people see what the plan is and they say, well, step 3 doesn't really work for me.
Yeah.
And then they change step 3 to something else. Like they'll be like, well, I don't really want to like skip out on pizza night or whatever. So I know it says no pizza, but I'm gonna eat pizza.
Right.
For example.
Right.
Right. So
Well, and the creativity in the real estate world would be, door knocking is not working. Right. And so you evaluate the process and it's not working. But what you don't admit is, well, you're really crappy at the door. And you're not consistently doing it.
right, you don't do your scripts or something.
So you're like, door knocking is not, that doesn't work. I'm gonna go do open houses instead. And then you do a few open houses and you don't get anybody's name and none of that stuff. And then you're like, well, open houses doesn't work. So you're setting a goal, you're doing an activity, and then you allow creativity to come and sabotage it. So instead of admitting, oh, this is the first open house I've ever held, I need to get better at talking to people that come in the door and asking for their information and showing them some value in working with me. So the accountability factor is you also being honest with yourself. Are you really good at it, or do you need to get better? Are you practicing properly or not? So does anybody have somebody holding them accountable today? Cindy does.
Not myself.
So you have somebody else holding you accountable.
No, well, I mean, my family does in a way, right?
Okay, take a second. Yeah, Rachel.
I just have a thing that I'm gonna implement this next year. You can pay your children up to $12,000 annually. So I'm gonna start paying them to go.
They're gonna be your accountability coach. Line item, accountability coach. I love that.
So smart.
It teaches them something too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Accountability coach. That's so cool. So do me a favor, and on this page here, what page is it? The one that says think, action, and accountability.
We don't have that.
Oh, you don't?
I use to 5.
I gotcha. Okay, well, on the piece of paper anyways, where we were talking about your goals, your someday goals, go ahead and write down who is holding you accountable. And if there's nobody holding you accountable, write Dan Edwards. And if you're willing, I'm happy to do so. Actually, excuse me. And now I'm going to introduce how you can be held accountable. This is a 411 action sheet. And actually, let's see. Oh, we got a few more minutes. 411 action sheet. You guys all have this? Oh. Yeah. I did. Where did you find it? Page 18. Oh. Towards the end. All right, so 411 is a tool that Gary Keller has used for the last 30, 40 years in order to have clarity in what has to happen. And I have to tell you that this is not something that I have completely mastered in my 16 years. And I'm going to help you see the value in creating one. And if you want, I will email you mine, which is a Google sheet that kind of has some kind of simplicity to it. But for purposes of understanding how this works, is we just wrote out your 1-year goal. So you can go ahead and place it in the annual goals per year. Okay. And you also have your monthly goal as well. So it's not a to-do list, it's a have-to-do list. It's designed to help you in both your long-range and short-range goals and bring those results to fruition. I look at my 411 every day, because there's stuff on there that has to change every day. If it's not changing, it's because I'm not doing my job. Okay, so we'll talk about what your job is, but can we agree that your number one job is procurement of new business? Yes or no? Yeah, it's procure new business. That's it. Everything else is a waste of your time unless you have enough business. So procuring new business, setting appointments to meet with buyers, sellers, and investors. That's your number one priority, always and forever. And if you don't find yourself doing that, you'll find yourself in financial trouble.
There are two 411 action worksheets.
Yes.
One of them seems to just be.
Kind of blank. Yeah, just kind of, I think it's just kind of, just to see it and how it works. So let me give you an example of how this 411 can work for your diet. Like if you're trying to lose weight, right? So because this 411 can be used just about any way, but your goal weight up top here, right? And by the end of next year, I want to weigh 215 pounds. All right. So I can take how much I weigh now and subtract it and divide by 12. And then I'm going to get, let's say, if I'm 250 now, I want to weigh 250, that's 35 pounds divided by 12, 35 divided by 12. What is it? Just about 3 pounds per month. Right now, my weekly goals have to support that, right? And you could do a caloric intake, you could do meal planning, etc., tracking, right? And each week you do it. So let's say week 1, I nail my goals, I do my meal planning, I stayed within my realm of calories, and I worked out 3 days a week, right? That's boom, 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 right there, accomplished, right? Now, this next week, I double my calories because I hit the cheeseburgers, right? I don't hit the gym. Now, what has to happen in week 3 to make up for that flub in week 2? Much more, right? If I want to stay on goal, right? So the 3rd week, I'm basically fasting, right? In order to make up for that 2nd week. But here's the power of that. When you get to week 4 and you compensated here, overcompensated for the screw up in week 2, week 4, and then you look up and bam, look at, I hit my goals on 3. Now, what's cool about how I use this is it's a Google spreadsheet and I've got tabs at the bottom. So it's November, December, then January, February, March. So I can basically just keep rolling. And how I use this in my business is these are my appointments right here. My monthly goal are how many pendings, and then my annual goal is total, right? So my pendings should be showing up. I've got 4 pendings, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's just 4 of them sitting there, 5, 6, and then right here is like appointments, right? Because we will calculate today how many appointments you need in a week in order to meet your financial goals for 2023. So you will know exactly how many appointments you set. And if you go out this week and you only set 2 appointments and your goal is 3, how many appointments are you setting next week? 4. So it's a carryover. It's different. And these, again, these aren't to-do lists. It's have to do, right? Because if you are committed to your big why, and you can put your big why up there too. If you're committed to your big why, you're going to basically stay all day Saturday in order to get your 4th appointment. Does that make sense? All right. So this 411 can be really powerful. And I think, Sydney, I sent you one in Google Sheets that actually has all the personal stuff and like that. And I really try to just stick to my business goal. And once I've mastered that, then maybe expand personal goals on there. Once you've mastered the use of the 411, who in here has used the 411 before? Rachel. Okay. So not very many. And quite honestly, I've been doing this 16 years and I'm just now getting good at using it. But I got to tell you, it's simple, but it's not easy. And it should be one of your default links on your bookmarks bar. So you just click and go right to it every day. Now, with regards to technology, I do want to share with you want to share with you. Go away, bar. Not the World Cup rankings, but there we go. So Keller Williams, we have a product called Command. And for those of you that are Keller Williams agents, and we do have some that are not, I just want to share with you that you can take your financial goals and right now it's open. To set your goals for 2023. So the way it functions actually is in Command, you have contacts, you have activities, and we have what's called opportunities. And opportunities are a chance to do business with somebody. So it is actually this is my personal account, which I don't use, I use my business account. But essentially it'll track how many leads you need and how many contacts you have to have, and appointments set, appointments kept, agreements to achieve your financial goals. So if you use Command and you use the opportunities properly by putting in when you set the appointment and when you went pending, then you will actually have a active live prediction of your business. So if you come in here and you go goal setting, you will see that you can set I was thinking, there we go. So you can see, you can basically set your goals and review your goals. So I'm going to go ahead and pretend here for a second, so you can see how this works. So what is my annual profit goal for 2022? I'm going to say 250. Okay. Okay, and then my expenses, if I predict my expenses, give me a number. What is your annual expenses for 2023 going to be? How much? 100,000 on 250 income?
Right, because it's like you think it's 30%, right? It's
Well,
gotta be something like that.
Well, so 30% of 250. 24,000.
Oh, it's 20, okay, is 250 what's the plan to keep? or-
Well, it looks to me that's
Expenses, like, just what it costs around this.
I don't know if they're certain calculations.
so it is, and we'll get to that. So I don't want to overthink this. I just want to show you the tool, basically. Okay. So cost of sales, let's go 25,000 as well. And then and actually we will 60% buyer listings, 40% average commission for listings. No way, man. So basically, continue. And it's going to ask me for my conversion rate of contacts and appointments set. So I'm converting 3 of every 4 that I go on, et cetera, et cetera. Continue. So essentially, it's going to tell me based on that. Trying to see where it breaks it down. Yeah. There it goes. So now for annual profit goal of $150,000, then it looks like I don't know if that's right.
Oh, that
Oh,
drop down
hold on.
tab up
Thank
there.
you. Yeah. 2020. 1 month. So 16 units right there, based on that calculation. And based on 16 units, we've got to set 48 appointments. And that's just based on the data that we put in. We are going to do this exercise on paper, but know that you can actually put it in the system and you can track that to see if you're on track. Because what it'll do is it'll start like showing you, did you get enough leads? It says 19,000 leads.
Really?
Yeah, the conversion rate of leads is lower, right?
Sure, but 19,000.
I don't know. I'm not sure where that comes
Quite
from.
high.
It could come from my database size in here, which
Oh,
is
yours.
too small. So it's gonna basically go off your data. But right now, this is open to set your goals for 2023 for the next month, right? Because once we hit December, so hopefully those of you that have access to this should get in and set your goals. Because what it starts to do is it could be going off of my conversion rates here. Yes. It's just because I set my goal. So this is the, oh, wrong one, opportunities. So command is basically going to take historical information, but because this is just my personal account and not the one that I function out of, the historical information is a little like, it takes me 155 days from active to close. So it's not accurate information. But if you put your information in here and you accurately move it from cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and close, then you'll be able to predict what your probable or potential income based on what's flowing through there. So anyways, it's just how command works. But I wanted to show you that because I wanted you to see that in conjunction with setting your goals, you can leverage command in order to help you track your goals. So you can see if you're on track for closings. All right.
So just a quick question, is the command, but the command interface is saying something different from the forward? It's not like, it's related, but it's not identical.
Correct.
Okay.
That is setting goals, right? So they're going to work in conjunction with each other because there it showed us how many appointments we needed to have 16. Sure. Right? So if you look at that and you break it down by 12, then you know exactly how many appointments. But we're going to also go through an exercise that helps you determine that too. On your specific business or your plan for business. Does that make sense? Okay, do you guys have what's after, we'll go back to, do you guys have the foundation model of MREA? Let's see. Let's see what I got here. Something like this. Oh. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, that.
You have that? Okay, let me talk about this first. And then we'll take a break. So this triangle, oh man, how do we get this to just go to flip away? Oh, awesome. The entire bar. Yeah. I just want it to hide, you know what I'm saying?
On the right where
Yeah,
it says
that's
more,
right.
does it give you that option?
Floating media controls. Thank you. All right, so this is the foundation of your business. So what we're looking at here is now we've kind of talked about the power of models. We put together kind of a little bit of your goals and such. We're going to talk about the 3 L's of a millionaire real estate agent. The first foundational is client leads. So client leads. Focusing after that, leads lead to listings. Now, the good real estate agents with a stable business focus on listing appointments. The reason for that is for every 10 buyers you're working with, you could actually the same amount of time working with, for every single buyers you're working with, you can work with 10 listings. The amount of time it takes to administer 10 listings versus buyers. Am I right, Sydney? Yeah. Like driving around for buyers all over the place. And so if you're going to have a business that lasts, you're going to focus on listings and the buyers are going to come and you'll work with buyers too, but you control your future by working with listings, right? So, and then finally, leverage is the last leg of a foundational model. I see a lot of agents that generate a lot of leads and then go right to leverage because they're overwhelmed, but they don't focus on having the listings that they need. And what is the number, right? What is the number of listings? What is the number of business that you have to have before you get to leverage? So it's important to consider that out front so that you build your business properly. Do you have enough leads? Do you have enough listings to justify leverage? Okay. What about, let's talk about what is, so what a business plan is and the important, okay, I'm explaining what it is. So the best advice, I don't even understand that. Okay. Do you guys have the thing that says a business plan is built on models? Anybody have that? No? Okay, then I'll explain to you that a business plan will, one, help you achieve the money that you need for your lifestyle. It'll tell you how many appointments to attend each week to meet your goals. It'll help you control your business expenses. It'll help you identify how you can grow your business. It'll help you identify lead generation strengths and opportunities or weaknesses, right? And then a business plan, contrary to popular belief, will actually save you time. Why do you think it'll save you time?
Focus.
Should be focusing on the specifics. Yep. You'll know exactly what to focus on. All right. Hello. Okay, so here are the 5 fundamental systems that we're going to review after this next break. The first one is the economic model, and that's to achieve the amount of net income you desire and what is left over for you. My personal favorite, I believe, will be after lunch, is the lead generation model. We'll see how time permits. And then the budget model, which is boring. Ugh, so boring. But it's also how to keep more money, right? Because it's where your money goes. And then the organizational model, and then the expansion model is closely related to the organizational model, because once you have this humming, in order for you to actually scale to, say, a $50 million business annually, you've got to franchise or expand. You have to take your systems models and move them to another location, because you're going to saturate yourself on how much market share you can get in this location. So you're going to have to think bigger. Now, it's possible you can do 50 million in this location, and it's going to require massive leverage. So you're going to need to get good at that. All right. And the expansion model is one that we've had very, very successful agents go out and fail horribly. So make sure that if you're considering expansion, that you really have your systems wired tight. And you're good there. So before we break, I want to hear what your big ahas are.
I really like command software.
Oh, you like the command stuff? Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's like just the tip of the iceberg.
Been focusing on this thing to control your business.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, though, I just like really glossed over that, but it is how it happens to control your business. How about the early stuff when we talked about the models before creativity? Any ahas you want to bring back up?
I think my aha is setting your why. I think spending a few minutes here working on it is great. Have an entire workshop how to get to your true why.
Yeah.
If you nail that down, then that's the foundation basically for everything.
Have you read Start With Why by Simon Sinek? Yeah, yeah. And you know what? I listened to that book on Audible, and I really do think, like, if you just took your notebook and went, to a cabin or whatever, and just spent some time just kind of tuning everything out, you get some serious clarity on that and how impactful that would be. Awesome. One more. That's Richard.
I would say if it's, I guess it's one personal aha, but for me, I followed the command that tell me, for my goals, and really realized, especially going into this or in this market that we're in. If I say, 3, that's my number of the leads for the prospecting amount, I really should need to be like doubling or tripling that in this type of market.
Gotcha. Okay, so write down 1 to 3 action steps that you're going to take, and then come back here. 10:40. 10:40.
Anything down there that you know of, Dan?
What's your favorite?
What's my favorite?
Have you ever had that bacon? It's like European style. It's really, really good. There's only one company. That's it.
I prefer to be later.
It's pretty.
That's my favorite.
This is what it is. This is what I can see very clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of these things, when it started in real estate, like for example, like I don't know the recipe. Right, there is something, there's like a step one, identifier. There's going to be elements. Yada yada. Yeah. Recipe, like. You know, it's like go far. Okay, cool. So it's like I basically like when I started, I just like said, okay, I like this area. Here's some addresses, send the postcard.
So one of the cool things they did is the interface. Then somebody can say, well, I'm on there. They go, okay, how do you? Then they come up with this one meeting. And so actually go to the food drive, okay, go to that once, find one history. There you go. And now you have the system.
Like very cool. Some of these lead generation models. Like I can tell you right now, like I do not talk to you. I was like, go ahead. Buyer appointment.
You know why?
You know, I'm like, oh.
If you look at them. It will start to change. Because of the people you talk to, how many targets in your sphere of influence. And from that, how many times. So that, if you look at the conversion rate, it'll probably change.
All I can tell you is this very clearly not something.
I have a ton of these.
Because it's like, I'll like I had to break down. I was like, I think probably like this year, or maybe, I mean, I'd have to like, I don't really track this, but you know, if I had to guess, how many actual buyer consults have I had?
Yeah, we will.
Like 20. How many did I close? 16.
Yeah, you should.
You know, but it sounds like it should be more like 200 buyer appointments, close 16.
No.
Right? Because when you look at the way that little thing is, you know, like you need to do like, you know.
No, that data is from the account. So it's not reflecting the actual data. We'll do an exercise.
I think what I'm saying, like, it's like, it sounds like it's generally, numbers based off of like their conversion rate.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's
So
not
you
seeing
convert-
it. See what I'm saying? Though that's not the actual, your actual number is going to be specific.
Right, if you do.
So like.
Oh.
2022, it may not be locked out,
Right.
but definitely set up. And we will go over the next step, which will give you the numbers, plug in there. What your conversion rate is.
Yeah, one of the questions I have is how do you, what's the best way to determine what the average?
I think our teams is like. I agree. My average sale.
You can, if you track it, you find out your average.
It's in one of my. So, just divide GCI by. By what?
That wheel's trying to get.
For who?
For my parents.
Oh, cool.
But it's through the guy.
Okay.
It expires tomorrow.
Okay. What? That your bowl goal was too low.
Berries.
All right, let's bring it back in here. Yeah. Remember?
Yeah.
You remember her?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
She was just like.
Good. Good. You said 3 o'clock, right?
Yes, sir, yeah.
Sir, stop. Stop. All right. Okie dokie. Now we're going to get into ahas in action. So anybody want to share the action that they're going to take based on our first segment there? Rachel?
My first action is to dive into Command and utilize every tool that they have to offer and that I am already currently paying.
You are already paying for that. Yes. I like a lot of people who just go, well, man doesn't work, and so I'm not going to use it. Well, you're freaking paying for it. And the support team has told us that about 85% of the support issues are operator error, not things not functioning properly. Anybody have an iPhone? Anybody have an iPhone 4 or 3 or 2 or 1? Did they always work properly? No. Did they get better? Yes. So we are on Command version 5-year, and it already does more than any CRM I've ever worked in. So I'm very defensive because I did help develop it, or am helping develop it, although lately I've been very busy. So anyways, okay, this is my favorite model. So if you're not here seeing this stuff, Aaron and Vanessa, you're gonna miss out. This is good stuff. So you guys ready to learn how to make $1 million?
Yeah.
Like net $1 million? Okay, so I'm not gonna go over this in great detail, but this is how hey, Jason, welcome. You're right for just the right amount of time. This is it, model number 1. So here's how you net $1 million. Now this also incorporates the budget model, because if you look, the net income, it's talking about $1 million, and 30% of that is operating expense, 30% of that is cost of sale, and 40% is profit. Or excuse me, it's upside down. So 40% is at the top. That's the profit, net income, excuse me. and the $2.5 million. So you have to earn $2.5 million in this scenario to net $1 million. Now, here's gonna be the cool stuff, guys. Watch this. Average commission. Is this our average commission?
No,
No,
so low.
it's so low. So we are blessed in the Northwest that our average commission is probably anywhere from 16 to 21,000. Okay, and so then you can take all those numbers, these numbers below, and kind of half them. But for this example, that's 350 sides, 60 sellers, here's all your good stuff. So I'm not covering that, but what this does is this provides a statement, and you guys were emailed a worksheet to fill out some of this stuff. Those of you that are in the business, those of you that are new in the business, I want you to use your creativity here. Okay, think about what is possible, not where you're at, like just getting started. Because if you stay in the place of like, well, I'm brand new, I can't do that, then you're putting a limiting belief on yourself, and you're gonna struggle because you're probably right. If you believe you can't do it, you're right. If you can, you're right. Did anybody do investment properties too? Okay, so if you're doing investment properties, you can incorporate those investments into your business economic model, right? If you plan on flipping 2 properties, or if you plan on having passive income, you should definitely put that in your business plan. Because if it's not in your business plan, it won't happen. So put it in your business plan from a separate line item here, right? Because this is your buyer and seller business. This is when you are helping others buy and sell real estate. All right. The cool thing about this is if you look at, and if you were to evaluate your conversion rate, right? So how many buyer listings sold for how many buyer listing appointments, right? Total appointments you did to that. Let's say your conversion rate is 50%. What's the problem there? The appointment's too low? No.
What do you mean, what's the problem?
If instead of having appointment conversion rate is 50% instead of 70, what's the problem?
You're not, you need to convert better.
That's right, you need to convert better, right? The same thing goes at the top of this, which is not showing, is if you talk to 500 people and only set 357 appointments, what's the problem there?
Not enough people.
No, you didn't convert for appointments better.
So say it again, you have
So-
500 what?
So if you had, let's just say if you had 600 conversations, right? And instead of setting 357 appointments, you set 200 appointments. What's the problem?
You can convert it to a quick.
You gotta get better at setting appointments, right? So that's the thing about the economic model is it's gonna identify in the past where you need to improve. And so you can't do that if you don't track it. So those of you that have been in the business, you have that worksheet, try and guesstimate where you sit on your conversion rates, okay? And going forward, utilize whatever tool you can to track. Jason, do you know how many appointments you were on last month?
Yes,
Okay, and how many did you convert? Or can you give me a number?
about 8, and I'm converting 2.
8 and 2. Okay, so does that mean Jason needs to work on converting better? Or the market may actually change and it may require that you increase the number of appointments, right? So I think there's a matter of everything. But if you don't have a realistic idea, then you have nowhere to go, right? Yes.
How do you dictate whether an appointment is converted? Is that that's that you create on your own, or is there?
So if we're talking listing appointment, they're like, Dan, you're our guy. If they're talking buyer appointment, it's, did they sign the buyer agency? Everybody does that, right? Buyer agency. No.
What would,
It was that technically,
oh, how you know if you actually convert?
yeah, because they're, if he has timelining for some buyers, they may be converted and start shopping with their bank to get into some things for another 3 months. So I was trying to see when can you put it in your model that you converted it, but that makes sense.
So do you guys know when a buyer is serious about buying a house?
Yes.
What is the criteria?
Pre-approved, ready, willing, and able, basically.
Reading my mind, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Ready, willing, and able, right?
Really.
So there's a lot of people that are willing but aren't able. There's a lot of people that are willing and able but just not ready. Their lease is expired. But you know, Sydney, you know when they're looking for homes and gonna write a contract. So that's the point where it converts to an actual client. So whether you have an appointment 8 and you converted 2 to signed buyer agencies and you're showing, but you still have 6 there that are kind of doing their thing. And then maybe next month, one of those 6 comes in, you count it as in, and that will show you the bigger picture, right? Because it's not like you didn't convert the other 6, you just haven't yet. Okay, makes sense? And that's why we want to track it, because you know what? And we want to do it in the simplest possible way. What if when you looked at your 411, you tracked it right there? And on your 411, each month it says how many appointments you set. And I did this in my 411 because every time I check a box that I had a meeting with somebody, it tallies the total appointments. And then every time I bring somebody in, check, it's checked. So I know how many I did each month, how many appointments I had each month. And you can do that same thing with this 411. And then you've got it tracked. Command does track that stuff too, but the 411 is right there in front of you. That's a simple, easy tool.
The thing that 70% though.
Uh-huh.
To convert to appointment. I mean, it doesn't matter if you talk to 10 people, you have to, 7 of them have to be an appointment. Otherwise, you're not on board.
Correct.
Yeah, so even if they come back later and you convert them in the following month, it really is completely irrelevant. because
No,
you still have
no,
to-
it's stacking
I
up.
mean, it stacks up, but I mean, if you don't hit 70, you didn't hit them.
Yeah.
It's just-
And you need to get better at what
Yeah,
you
you're
say.
like, you're behind.
Yeah. And here's the thing is this is why the model itself is beautiful, right? Because you just look and say, huh, conversion rate? Nope. Okay. All right. I guess I should do some script practice. Hey, Jason, will you do some scripts? I want to go over my buyer presentation. Can you tell me what am I missing here? Right? Oh, well, you actually shouldn't have set that appointment because they really weren't ready. So maybe just bank them and come back to always set the appointment. But this is about giving you feedback. That's what the model is for, is to give you feedback so that you can do it. So my recommendation is to have your pro forma, meaning what you want to do. Your pro forma, and then check against what you're actually doing. And that's kind of the 411 can help with that. So, so here's the thing, is that you've got this economic model is based on the framework on how the investments you make in your business and the performance interact with one another to produce financial outcomes. Or in simpler terms, how you make money will be based on what you have and what you do. So on the left, or excuse me, on the right, we've got, you can invest time, money in the cost of sales and operating expenses. On the other side, you've got behavior, skills, abilities, resources, leads, appointments, talent, systems. When they overlap, you hit gross commission and net income, right? Those operating expenses. So it's how you interact with that. Who here can control their time? Right?
Completely out of control.
It's out of control.
It's like control spending.
Same thing, right? And so when you have a model in place, right? Who knows how many hours that we generated last week? Does anybody know, is there a way to track it? Yeah, you do?
I have it tracked, I don't have it.
Yeah, but you actually can go back to your calendar and say, here's how many hours. Anybody else? Does anybody put on their calendar for lead generation time?
It's on there.
You're like, it's there. It's didn't honor my calendar. Okay, very good. Yeah, write that down. Write it down. Okay, so getting more into this economic model is the 30-30-40, and it stands for your CGI, your gross commission income goes to 3 elements: 30% to operating expenses, 30% to cost of sales, 40% net income. It's not about what you make in GCI, it's about how much you keep. Would you agree? Okay, because if you're just breaking even, you're basically what are you doing? So gross commission income, I explained that. If you wrote down how much you need to have your lifestyle. Did anybody do that, right? How much they need on their, page one, this one here? Business planning?
I have a question about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it asking you what you need annually plus debts or? Just some months?
So the best way to put this together is to say, like, to get yourself out of debt, right? To be in a place where it's all positive cash flow. You know, and debts can be paid off over time, so that you can have a plan for that. But if you were to write down how much money you need to live yearly, that's what that's.
Oh, is it? I thought it was the GCI, but yeah. Because the next question asks business expenses annually.
Right,
it's
so,
like,
so what you do to build your actual, what you need to make money is you go, okay, here's what the family needs, right? And Jason, you do this, right? And then here's what the business needs. And the business, you should be expending 30% on expenses and 30% on cost of goods sold. If you're a brand new business, you don't have to. Okay, so there's not that. But that is part of the model, right? So if you are growing a business and you're not spending any money, but you can't seem to grow your business, you might look at what investment you can make in your business in order to do what?
increase appointments.
Increase leads, right? That baseline, increase your leads. So what can you do? That is the right way. And we'll talk about how to apply the red light, green light principles later.
Can I just add something? So
Of course.
when I was newer, and that was only a few years ago, I felt like I had to have about 20 people as leads before I even converted one. Now I'm down into like the 6 to 8 range ratio, where it's gotten better, right? And that's just because I reflected on so many different conversations. So when I first started, the numbers might be bigger, but there are people that will help you through that, right? That will eventually like your personality, find who you are, as important and things like that. So
Major League Baseball players hit the ball, 3 times every 10 times a bat, right? And those are all stars. So if you start out and you're like 10 people but convert 1, no shame in that, because you just started your skill set. Okay.
Dan, I got a question.
Sure. Sir.
Considering all of these things, it feels like we're missing taxes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, where is that in there? I'm not sure.
that will be on the detailed P&L,
Sure.
but right here, that's where your taxes come out of.
40%.
Can you remind me what the cost of between cost of sales and operating?
I can, yes. Cost, okay, so cost of sales is generally, anytime you have some event that is a sale, it's tied to it.
So.
Photography for listings,
Advertising.
for a listing. Because an expense, the difference between an expense and cost of goods sold is when I go to Facebook and I post my new listing, that's a lead generation expense. That's an expense. So it's a
Oh,
little
I
different,
see. I haven't distinguished them. I just say it's all.
an expense.
Yeah,
That's okay.
but then,
But the
like,
cost
when I
of-
put all that together, I get like 30%.
That's good, because you're a solo agent. So again, we're talking about models for scale. So we'll get into the deeper thing, P&Ls and tax planning and all that stuff. I mean, the bottom line is, you do need to plan for taxes on your net.
Right.
That's important. I own the Edwards Company. It's a Inc. corporation, and they pay me a salary. Okay, so I have a salary, so I pay taxes as a salary. Okay, and then I plan for my distributions right around now so that I can cover my taxes with my tax attorney. And so I have like a 3rd to 4th level MREA team. You are going to start at the 1st level, and I don't know if anybody else here has a team. Ish, no. Now you have a team. No, it's just you. So obviously it gets more complicated P&L with some of these things, but these are the principles that every business that became a millionaire real estate business follow these principles. Yesterday I was here with other rainmakers like myself, and we were talking about this right here. What are you doing to cut your expenses? Are you keeping within this model? And this is an oversimplification, but it will show you how to build this GCI number, which tell me you have a worksheet that has elements of the economic model. Huh? Yeah, okay. So now it's your turn to go ahead and fill out Oh, I think it's gonna be in the back.
It's in this.
Yep,
It's page 19.
page 19. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your net income goal for your first year here. And you're gonna write in that net income goal right there. And if you want, you can write in what your last year's operating expenses were, or you can write 30%. This is up to you. Same with the cost of goods sold. If you know what they were last year, if you guess what they were, fine. If you want to just write 30%, go ahead. And if you know what your average commission amount was, great. If not, let's go off 600,000. So then divide your GCI by average commission to get your total units. So your GCI is right above there. Providing you guys added your net income, operating income, and cost of sale to get your total GCI. And then divide the total GCI by the commission amount, total units. You guys follow me? And I especially want, if you're brand new, I especially want you to do this 100% because you're going to find out what you need to do in order for this to be reality this year.
What was the GCI then?
So the GCI should be the net income plus the operating expenses plus the cost of sales.
You said that's what the GCI should be.
Total GCI. Net income, operating expenses, cost of sale.
And what did you say, average, once again, like 16 or 21,000?
Yeah, let's say it's 18.
Which you could you just do the net income divided by 3?
Yeah, but I wanted others that have specific numbers in there to put their numbers. So who's got a total units sold for their goal? What is it?
40.
42. Spencer? 11, okay. Who else? Ulrich? 8.3, okay. And what was your GCI goal?
577.
What was yours, Ulrich?
150.
150, okay. Aaron, what you got?
Got it.
Aaron, number 8.
32,000 units, so my math is.
32,000
Yeah,
units.
yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I help you with your math?
I need some support, I think.
Yeah, I think you need to leverage.
No, 32, I think.
Oh, 32, 32 units.
I think
Okay.
it's gotta take off.
All right, 32 units. So then obviously, what's your percentage of listings? Like think back if you're doing business, how many listings, how many buyers, what's your percentage? And then divide those sales by the buy side or sell side. So then you're going to
Just split like.
yeah, so the top line there is going to be 40% buyers, 60% sellers, and then you're going to go 40% of that top total units sold, 60% of the total units sold. Then you're going to say what was your conversion rate. If you don't know, why don't you put 50% for now? You don't know your conversion rates, just put 50%.
On the conversion rate.
Yeah.
I like payment.
So like on the sell side, percent buyers, selling listings, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think. So there's like a little fine gradient here between like appointment conversion rate and sold conversion rate. And I think it's like combined and kind of like, hit down.
So-
You know what I mean? Like I get down to like.
Yeah, so sold conversion rate is how many listings are you selling that you list?
Right.
You know, last year it was 100%.
Versus, right,
Now it might be more like 70.
whack percent, that's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, 50.
Painful percent.
I saw a cute listing of yours.
Oh, join me.
Ah. I gotta make an improvement for them too. Okay, did you do the whole exercise? So who's completed it? And who can tell me how many total seller appointments you need and how many total buy side? Okay. Let me know where you need help.
What if you're 100% on the side?
Yeah, just do that. Maybe maybe set a goal. How many listings would you like to do next year? And work it that way. Sydney. Of total, you know what I'm saying? So subtract that from how many buyers and go from there. Yeah, sure. Yeah, operating expense. Time 125 times 30. So, 25 times 30. 30%. So that top one should be different. Because that should be 40% back. I see. Well, maybe that's where. Who else is? Oh, you don't, oh. Yeah, I also did send you guys a spreadsheet where you can throw all those numbers in there. Worksheet. Sometimes it's good.
What would you say that like your average?
I put 50%.
50, and then appointment rate.
50 on both.
50 on both?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Because you're gonna get better, but let's just say there's an average. And here's the thing, guys, is while I'm having you do math, and math is hard, real estate agents don't really need to do math, except for calculating 3%. The power of actually penning this out is gonna help you continue to do it. I get excited when I do it and play around with it. And I sent you guys all Susie sent you guys all a Excel spreadsheet where you can plug this in. So you can fiddle around with the numbers to see what you need to do. But just understanding the numbers is going to register with you that if I'm setting a lot of appointments, Jason is always talking to my classes. He's like, he is such a high I, he just can't.
Trust me, I was speaking in the back of my brain. Dan's gonna call.
I love you, Jason. All right. Anyhow, long story short is when you actually understand this model, it allows for you to be creative, right? If you just like, I don't know what my conversion rate is. I just don't have enough business. Well, if we don't have it penned out, you cannot predict what your ability to achieve your big why. You don't know where to tweak it, right? It's diagnostic, right?
One thing I did when I first started out that I truly think is where this has helped me is I got massive whiteboards and I started putting together like a plan as I was talking to every single lead and writing on my whiteboard and writing a plan of when to follow it back up. And it helped produce my conversion ratios and understanding the business because I was tracking individual names, right? If you're talking to 20, 30, 50 new people a month, whatever your numbers are, but then the next month you keep just, there was people that were dying off on the board just as fast as I was gaining new people, but then I was starting to realize when I thought back on those conversations, who I actually was connecting with, like building rapport is, step number one, right? But it helped me start to see my numbers a lot clearer. And so I could show you a photo of my whiteboard. It's like chopped up into fours, right? But then there's like an every week follow-up, every 2 week follow-up, and every 30-day follow-up, and every 90-day follow-up with just different names. And I kind of broke that down to buyers and sellers. And that's going back to this model is what I found tons of value in it because I was leveraging this idea, but I was trying to figure out how can I put it on in writing so I can see it because I'm more visually attracted that way. And so Yeah, Susie might be on the board, but Susie's been on the board for every 90 days, but every 90 days I just give her a jingle. Now you can, if you're more tech savvy, you can work with command and add tasks that way. But for me, it was like the people I found very important on and take on.
Yeah, so who can tell me how many appointments they need to have next year? Sydney?
I think it's about 76.
71 appointments, yeah, okay,
140.
144,
Not percent sure if I did that right, but
144, we could look at that. Rob?
I don't know. Those numbers to me are just. Can't really wrap my brain around it. You bring 144 appointments and do 144 appointments and continue with the other stuff. So I'm kind of struggling without those numbers.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. And I think that it may be a case of sitting down and really looking at have you been consistent in the past with knowing exactly what your conversion rate is? Right?
I know what my conversion rate is and I know what my expenses are and expenses are zero. So I don't understand the cost of what those numbers are. My experience, obviously it's different if everyone's a referral. Sure, conversion rate is almost 100%, and the cost of generating them is nothing. So I've never had to work that way, so I don't really.
But keep in mind, this is to show $1 million.
Yeah, that's 2.5 million.
Yeah, so that I definitely agree. Like going from walk to run isn't really gonna be connected. But just for your numbers, your goals next year, how many transactions do you want to do?
More than I do now. That's kind of a reason that I want to do this.
But based on your big why and
I probably want to do, again, we're talking real estate transactions, right?
yes,
Probably, I would like to do maybe an additional 12.
okay. And how many did you do this last year?
Do about 12.
So 24 total. Okay, so if we're just to take this and break it out 12 units, okay. And just go with that specifically, forget about the cost of goods sold, just go with the 12 units and then backtrack here. It's going to tell you the appointments. And the money will take care of itself based on your average commission.
I'm not familiar with the close ratio is what we call it. Right?
Right. What did you put for your calculations in your close ratio? I mean, you said it's referral based, right?
It's almost all of it.
So that's going to be
There is gonna be
90%.
some fallout, but I would say conservatively 80%.
80% roughly. And then is every listing let me just calculate. I'm going to calculate.
He does like 30 appointments next year.
So yeah, 30 appointments is what you have to say. Thank you. So maybe that helps because again, remember, this is about a scalable business, about a life-changing business that's netting $1 million. So if I go to the next slide, I think this is going to be $500,000 net income. And again, this is all based on an average commission of $6,800. So it's just the model. And for the just to oversimplify it, what we're really trying to do at this point for most everybody in this room is how do I get to that total units sold goal I'm looking to do? Right? That's really it. The next part is if you don't plan the next part, then you're stuck, right? Most agents, all they want to do is their real estate goals. And then guess what? When they stop doing the lead generation, they don't make any money. Building a business is when I am here, my team is producing. That's a business. That's an ongoing concern. And that's where you get cost of sold and the other stuff. But if you want to be an individual business, individual agent, you want to make $250,000, then your expenses aren't going to be low. They're going to be low. It's just a benchmark. So what areas in this model can you improve performance? your conversion rate. The amount of appointments, okay? Setting more appointments, conversion rate, what else? Operating expense. Keeping your operating expenses low, yep, what else? Average commission. Increase your average commission, right? And actually, that was a really cool phenomenon that I had, is this was before housing prices went through the roof or anything, but I was in Bellevue, and I said, I want to increase my commission amount. I want to, raise. So I really focused on a little bit of a higher price point, and I did it in a strategic way with my lead generation. And sure enough, year over year, I was able to increase my average price. It's pretty cool. Is there anything else we can change? Your expenses, your cost of goods sold, your listing side to buy side ratio, right?
Conversion rate. Be a better price.
Better pricing, yeah, so you have the sold conversion rate, and then you have the appointment conversion rate, right? So pricing it a little bit better, not taking overpriced listings. Focusing on a system that will allow you to sell homes quicker, will allow you to take more listings. So it says here that some agents are challenged by the economic model, and obviously it's because of where each person is in their journey. So the catch is just to set your goals and then track it, and then look at your feedback. Set your goals, track it, look at your feedback. And I would say you really can't get enough feedback in a month or two. You should look at everything weekly and daily and monthly, but really when you look at it on a quarter basis, you should look, how did that go based on my activity? What you do today will show up in February. All right, so what you do today will show up in February. And my hope is you guys walk away with some clarity and you have some high contact over the next 2 months. And in January is just gangbusters. That's my hope. All right. The back of your page, you guys have filled this out, but there should be that 411 action sheet, right? So now that you have the number of appointments and listing appointments and buyers appointments, you can put those under monthly goals, listing appointments, buyer appointments, and the total number. It should be on one of the in the back. Yeah. Yep.
Got a nice
Second to
look
last
down at
page,
the,
17. Thank you.
yeah. Fine, fine. Yeah.
So you're gonna put down on page 17 your net income for 2023, your total units sold, listing appointments, seller appointments, for your annual goals. We just
Good
came
job.
up with.
Sorry. Thank you.
I'd appreciate the same.
Right.
And then drop down
Hi.
your monthly and drop down to your weekly.
He's actually, oh, you're here. Hi. You, he's actually down in the, at the end of the hall with a. Yeah, hold on a second. I got that for you. Where'd he go?
You do, okay.
Where did he go? Maybe it's
17?
in his office. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah. All good. How's life? Nice.
It's been 12 years and I kept that stinking thing and she just had to have it. Never had it on her hands. And if you don't want to use it or give it to your daughter, then don't. But it's been in my closet in that bag for a fat minute.
That's funny. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, but they're getting ready to take a break, I think, down there. If you want to go on down the hall. No,
sure.
Okay.
I need some water. You got somewhere to fill this up?
Yeah.
For context of the database, is that what we would need?
We'll get to
I'm
there.
sure that I've never met
We'll get
this
to there.
gal.
Right now, all.
Probably
of
not,
our-
Yeah.
She used to be, her and her husband, ex-husband now, but
how many
used to be in our office and she stayed with us and he left, kind of
Does she have a different last name?
Pinware.
Okay, that's why I didn't. Yeah.
But
I wonder if her bill's going through on a monthly either.
I bet she hasn't been paying us.
I mean,
All right.
Okay, so for
Ahas,
somebody who's at least seen
takeaways,
then they're,
action steps.
there's a potential to have some permission to take it out. You're welcome, you're welcome. Have a great trip.
Getting better at making
But if not, then
Get better at making
I think it has more to do with the team leaders and agent count in the office.
yeah,
So
I mean, there's a fat number of, well, who is it that owns the heating and cooling?
heating and cooling. Oh, Seatown?
Mhm.
What about them?
We have 2 agents that own this.
Right?
Any other ahas,
What's their names? I can't remember.
takeaways?
Yeah.
Oh, Philip,
Actionable
Brandon and
steps? Nope.
Brianna.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do any track, but I think they're paying.
Oh, I would think so, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes down to agent count because Keller Williams requires,
No ahas?
actually,
Rachel,
between
what's your
Keller
aha?
Williams and then Ben
Right.
requires,
My
certain
aha
numbers,
is, I need to be talking to the
so many outs and you have so many ins.
Okay.
It's just
Yeah.
I think we're
constant
gonna go over
thing.
your math, because I think I have.
And,
Yeah, I did. I don't think it's that much. I
Okay.
think it's actually needs to be 88.
Not Kerwin,
88.
Kerwin.
88
Marissa
because
Kerwin.
I added an extra.
Did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what I'm going on. But yeah, I mean, especially like I
Marissa,
said.
yeah, I don't even know who she is.
Market and how it is.
Huh.
You know, to be able to
Yeah,
sell on
um,
appointments, how people are wanting that less.
But yeah,
less,
when
talking,
everybody's sharing
more
information,
conversations on miles, you know,
can't do
having
real
a lot
estate,
more context, right?
any other way
Right.
and,
Definitely.
And obviously that, well,
Janet, what's your big aha in this economic model?
priority.
I think
Even if
it's
it's the second
seen
top.
it's on
she's got
paper,
a child
and
who's,
really detailed, it's
on the
just
spectrum or something like that.
it's right there, and
Right.
it's showing me everything I have.
Just because.
So what was your total number of appointments for next year?
That I didn't get yet, but I wanna sell 15 units.
15 units, okay. And that's gonna give you how much in,
He
net
left
income?
3 other people. in his
200,000.
office, so,
Really?
Let's see, 200,000
Hey,
and
Which I realized
Yeah.
I've been bringing home only 80,000.
with 200,000 based on this economic model.
Rachel,
Oh, so it's 200,000 in GCI, not net.
they're asking us to either take her off our
So
list.
your GCI is gonna be definitely higher. than that, right? So let's take 16 times 18, what's that?
yeah, I wanna take a look at.
18,000. Oh, you got it calculator right there. 16 times how much? 288.
Okay.
Okay, so then take 288 and multiply that, 288,000 multiplied 0.4.
184.
So that's your, 184 is your net, 288 is your GCI,
Okay.
and that's 16 units. Now you'll just need to do the rest of the math, because you're gonna take how many listings versus buyers?
That I wanna take.
Mhm.
Well, I'd like to do most of the listings, but apparently that's not.
Well, what do you think? I mean, it's easy to just say 50-50, but if you really want to focus on listings, I do, and I still do 60.
How are you?
Yeah. So why don't we say, you're gonna do 9 listings
Okay.
and 7 buyers, and then multiply 9 by. Is it? What's that?
50%.
Okay, 50% conversion rate. You're gonna need, 18 appointment, 18, excuse me, 36. No, I was saying 70. So of the 9 listings, you're gonna probably take maybe 11. Because 2 of them may not sell of the listings. And 50% of that, 11, so that's gonna be 22 listing appointments, is what you have to do. So we're just kind of walking in that direction. And now you have clarity that you need to, in order to list 9 homes, still 9 homes. You have to be setting and doing a listing presentation for 22 people next year. That is how many per month? Just 2. So you have to set up 2 listing appointments in order to achieve your goal. If you don't do it, you won't achieve your goal. That was just a sell side, so you can do the buy side. I think the buy side is going to be interesting to me. I believe.
Whatever you want, you'll have that.
Yeah, buyers should be awesome, and I think that the buyer listing assigned to close should be high, but I think it won't be really squirrely.
Yeah.
Well, if that's a
I think it's a plus and minus to the situation. For a home buyer that doesn't have very much money, it's probably gonna be much more difficult, but somebody with $200,000 in the bank, 20% down, they're probably.
Yeah, I would actually go 50% conversion rate, so if you're trying to do, what did we say, 7 buyers.
Or 002. I need to memorize that by now. You're already hesitating because you remember their is. Yeah. So,
Well,
You know what I mean? Like,
that's-
if she's got like, just like every.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Absolutely. You're welcome.
Distill it down to very specific buyers.
Yeah.
So I heard that, there's some part of what I read, it said 1 out of 4 buyers are falling out. At the end of it. So,
Woo! That sounds sensational.
that sounds good.
Huh?
I heard.
Like just a sensational headline. I don't know that it's true.
That might be nationwide, maybe not. Is that here in the,
That was a national.
it
Yeah.
wasn't national?
It was.
Oh, it was, yeah.
I don't know, that's kind of weird because in the last 60 to 90 days, that's what's happened to me. Is let's say I was closing 8 out of 10, I closed 2 out of 10 this last quarter, right? So.
Of buyers that were active.
Yes, it just because of how fast the rates were going up. Obviously, I think we're heading towards more of a level up. But just at least with the drama in the last quarter, it makes sense.
I think it's better to err on the side of caution, and that allows you to have more appointments that you can handle. And if you win at the end of that day, that's great, right? If your conversion rate is better than 50%, great. But
Yeah, well, the only way you're gonna know is if you actually like track it, like at the end of the week or whatever, you have to know like what that number is, because then you can adjust. If at the end of the week you find out, oh, I'm only converting 20%, then you know you need to the following week or whatever.
I think the biggest thing that I want to convey from this economic model is to connect your big why to your financial goal, to how many appointments you have to set. It's bring it down to that, right? How many appointments should I be setting? And for the longest time, I was like, well, I'm doing the activity, I'm making calls, doing that. It's like, no, dude, you have to actually set an appointment with a ready, willing, and able, or a potential ready, willing, and able buyer or seller. And if you're not doing that, you're not doing real estate. You're just calling people all the time. You're just looking. So if you can put yourself in that mindset, and now you know, based on your own numbers that you calculated, how many appointments you need to have, and those of you that have been in the business know that it now, whatever you did before is actually going to have to, you're going to have to double that in order to survive, to survive this next market that we're seeing. Yeah, and get good at conversion. You know where to focus. If you're having a lot of appointments and not a lot of success, then see what your value prop is, what's changing it. And Rob, who does a lot of sphere of influence, it's going to be a high conversion rate because there's already a high level of trust. And in our next section, we're going to talk lead generation. And the powerhouse people that are selling lots of real estate have a really, really, really good database, and it's well maintained and managed. So we gave you guys a short break. Let's see, where's my watch? Oh, and then so if you come back at 11:45, yeah, then we'll get on the next section. Okay, thanks. So,
Yeah.
that's good.
Is this? We do. So that's the
10 units, yeah.
And then do you take this times 50 or?
No, you say, yeah, times 50%.
Okay.
Right, so 5 here, 5 there. Yep.
Alright, cool.
Yep, thank you. For TMN, one of those. Yeah. Yes, you just.
Okay.
Call, it's called. Figure it out. And he just, just call it as a K. So they say, oh, you can reach me, so I can step out. And he's like, yeah, I definitely have to call you just on things that are on your backs. Because he just. Well, we try to your contract. Yes, 20 USK. Oh, your septic. Yeah, but that's. So are you? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that needs, Gabby's actually going to fill out, just one missing additional 35, so she can, send it to her. And clients review. So, page one, you're gonna have to put the SK there. Right, yes, and then, and so if you wanna do that, all at the same. So SK. It's not just the road, it's by law, that has to happen anyway. Yeah. So it's just not. Yeah, but it's the SK, just septic. Like an inspection or, yeah, what is that? It's seller inspection, seller, so SK is a septic event. Yeah. So basically on there, it says that the seller has 15 days to get the septic system inspected. And the body may have no inspection. Gotcha. And if the septic doesn't pass, they can get it prior to the contract. But most times it's just. So on page one of the purchase and sale, provided an inspection again. Yeah, they already provided it's done. Yeah, that's OSS. And the septic has to the documents that you do.
Yep, it's fine.
But the 22 that's about it. It's not. But.
No.
22 SK is something that usually should be like in some units, correct?
No,
Yeah.
because,
We do that. If you see something in second, just go ahead.
No,
Sorry, I think that's all the in this name. Confirm that. If so, I'll just get everything mixed up one time. Did you guys determine what to do about escrow? About escrow? Yeah, it's with the way the contract was written. Okay. He didn't really control that anymore. So you got it. I don't even. More on it after this. They're doing good. Yeah. Sure. Yes. But like, now, like, thanks, Mom. It's cheaper to both you than it is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a bit of a different market. But all the policy.
Well, I saw one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So my world's been so.
They ended up getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't this thing. And I should put it into one.
Really? Well, I understand.
That's the big real estate, it's not real estate. And it's like, help me just means. I got all of you. Big money can be problem, right? Very much. He was good, so we went. I still, but I don't know if you want to.
Well, that's.
Yeah, so. Other than that. You know, now I see that what it works then, you can only control it. I had to. Yeah. That's about it. There are consequences.
Yeah, we get my new iPhone for it. There's nothing wrong with my phone.
You want to say?
Yeah, they said not.
I'm going to be here. I want to get rid of this.
Oh, yeah, that's. So it's just really getting.
Searching and finding pretty much.
But it is that. Really is. Well. I don't.
I mean. They're going. That's why I want to. So it's
You're basically doing that. Now. Right?
So they're.
Yes. That's true. So, Oh, I see. That's so cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, you might roll and you're like, yeah, there's pressure on this side. I mean, I'm sorry, I want to go. And if I go easy, I got to.
Yeah.
No, I worry about it. But, yeah.
I think that's what they are interesting. We're essentially back. Nobody goes to buy.
For the same reason. And you're basically. That's correct.
That's why those are.
So. This.
Well, not.
No.
Other. They got to go back. Every time I sit. We're there and I'm like, we're following you to say like, this is what. But not everybody.
I'll try yours. My friend is for years now. But as Then. Sorry, I took the chair. Is this helpful so far? Yeah. Compared to. So compare this still here. We're gonna get into some of my favorite stuff. Tatiana, you're on. Yeah. Are you ready to be on? Do you want a slideshow next time?
I didn't.
I'm gonna give you until lunch. Okay. We have it downloaded here. I bet we did, because we've shown it on here before, right?
I don't know, I was thinking, like, when I looked at the numbers, I probably could have more. What? Part-time, I'm gonna try 2 jobs. First year, yeah.
You have a slideshow you can email me?
Yes.
Maybe do your first year.
They can't sign in now,
Sign into what?
my email.
No, if you want to email it to Dan@Ben.
Oh. No. That's pretty.
Dan.edwards@kw.com. All right, back to this. Okay, so in the current conversation, we'll talk about leads and contacts. So here's the definition of a lead. A lead is people who have shown some sort of interest in the service you offer, but you haven't engaged in a two-way conversation. Contact is people with whom you've held a two-way conversation and have established a value-based relationship. The key difference between the two is whether or not you've spoken with them or not. Okay, so let's take some examples. Can somebody give me an example of a lead? Your friend. Do you not talk to your friends? Okay, so that's a good contact. Somebody that walks into your open house, yes.
I would say for me, when I see leads are, I get a Facebook ad.
Yeah, somebody came in, that showed an interest. Don't know when, yeah, Facebook ad, respond, yeah, who else? Referral. A referral, that you haven't talked to, right? Anybody else? Somebody in a coffee shop? So somebody that you heard, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house.
Bump into and you're like, oh, I sell houses, or they're like, oh, I'm trying.
Well, they're now a contact.
Upcity.
Upcity referral is a lead until you have contact. Yes. So essentially, what we're doing is we're going to build a lead generation model that utilizes the ratios from these leads versus contacts, and will create a predictable amount of contacts that would lead to appointments, right? And your conversion ratio is the amount of leads to appointments. Excuse me, leads that are turned into contacts that are turned into appointments, right? So if you want to calculate it out, you may never talk to a lead, or you may talk to 100 or call 100 leads and get 1 contact or 20 contacts, and out of those 20 contacts, it becomes 1 appointment, right? And it depends on what those leads are, Rob, his business is by Sphere. So he's gonna have a high level of lead to contact to appointment, right? Whereas Sydney and I, we do some internet leads. So it's gonna be a high level of contacts or leads added with a low ratio of contacts and then a lower conversion rate. So it's relative. It's just a numbers game, right? You just gotta calculate it out. So let's talk about, Aaron, what's your lead generation style?
Well, I mean, I have a couple of different avenues. But I'd say my style is very conversational and probably easy, not pushy. Still asking questions, trying to create a follow-up on, and you know, also ask for other referrals.
Okay. So it's more relational.
Yeah.
Yep, and kind of draw them into your business. Okay. So let's talk, when we talk about the different prospecting types, we've got time intensive prospecting versus money intensive on the other end. So what we're talking about more is an efficient, let me put it this way. As a business that's a sphere of influence introduction, is that prospecting based or marketing based? Why do you say that?
Because it's relational.
Because it's relational, okay. Would anybody disagree with that?
Say the scenario.
So a sphere of influence lead, is that prospecting or marketing? What's that?
I would say marketing.
You said marketing. What if I say it's both? What if I say it's both? So most of your activity should be prospecting based, but marketing enhanced. Okay. Yeah, and foundationally, any new agents, it should be more prospecting based. Prospecting based is more people power, meaning your actions are going to lead to results. Marketing is more of spending money, your money leads to results. So who here has unlimited money? Right. Okay, so who here has unlimited time? You have unlimited time? I want some of that. Nobody has unlimited time, right? Because you've got obligations. You got financial obligations. Right, so nobody has unlimited time. So essentially, it's about a balance, right? Of utilizing a high amount of prospecting and enhancing it with marketing. So here's a good example. We had a organization called Phone Animal at the time, and they are telemarketing. So that is a prospecting tool, telemarketing. And so they were doing a lot of high volume calls and then getting these leads that they had spoke to and turning them into contacts. So that's a combination actually of prospecting and marketing, because I paid them money to do it rather than I did it myself. But if you were to do it yourself, make these calls yourself, it's cheaper. It's less of a cost overhead. Now, the next thing we did is we put them all on a monthly neighborhood nurture for their house and their neighborhood. So they were getting an email once a month about the value of their home. So that's a combination of using prospecting-based business and layering marketing on top. Another way to layer marketing on top of that is social media. So most of you have a Facebook or Instagram account, yes or yes?
Yes.
And most of you have posted some stuff with regards to your real estate business in those accounts, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so essentially what you're doing is you're using a prospecting tool, but actually Facebook is technically a marketing tool. And it is actually fairly economical if you learn how Facebook algorithms and Instagram algorithms work. However, you have to have what at the base of your creativity? Model and a system, right? So you need a model and system for all of these things. And if you get too creative, we run into some problems, right? Because we need that foundation. So let's see, is that there? So let's talk about some other lead generation activities. Aaron said he's relational, but what are some of your lead generation specific activities?
Soccer, sailing, Sons of Norway, some, few different groups.
So that's prospecting through your network, right?
Farming through, mailers.
Okay, so you're doing farming?
Yeah.
Okay. Who else is doing some, has a lead generation platform that they're doing? Yes.
I generate a lot of leads through door knocking, specifically around surrounding my listings or sales. Door knock, I don't like the cold calling, I do it. And I'm going to do more.
Okay.
Because that's a great way to generate, but.
Sydney.
I try to have,
just kind of gets freaked out. Forward conversations of family, occupation, recreation, dreams. It really is a part of ninja selling, which is relational selling. And it's not just calling to say, hey, Aaron, who do you know that's buying, selling, investing in real estate? You're calling to say, Aaron, hey, how's it going? And this is what Aaron's doing. He's like, hey, Sons of Norway, I'm Irish. I became part of the Sons of Norway by invasion.
Yeah.
He uses that joke all the time.
Yeah.
And so
Made my own box.
yeah, I checked it. And he got it. And so even though the Irish invaded England too, so you know, you gotta. I'm just saying.
And about happened.
Many times
We invaded.
we raided and pillaged and Viking.
It's not the other way.
Both ways, I'm pretty sure. Us Welsh just wanted to hang out, man,
Yeah.
in our woods. All right, so. Oh, I wish it had this one. So I've got a list. I don't know if you guys in your packet have a list of lead generation activities, like a big old long list. Yes, page 11. Thank you. So just looking over these, and as I go to this next chart, most of the most successful real estate agents usually have a sphere of influence as a leg of their business, and they incorporate 3 more. And it's really something that if you have been in the business for more than a year or 2, you really need to generate. If you don't have 4, you need to have 4 distinct angles that you lead generate from. And as you're looking at it, you want to start with a prospecting tab on the left. How many of these prospecting tabs are you adding? So the first and largest audience should be your sphere of influence. These are people who know and like you and trust you, and you can build a big business with just your sphere alone. And a lot of agents do. And then I know a ton of agents who don't, and it's because they're afraid to talk to their friends about their business. And usually what I say to that is, I use the analogy of a restaurant. If you were to host Guy Fieri for your new restaurant, who were the people that you would invite and enjoy sharing a meal with to that event? And most people, even the most introverted like myself, can come up with more than 200 people for that event. So if that's the case, and this is your passion, and it's linked to your why would you not reach out and expand your sphere so that you can help more people X, Y, Z, right? If you can help more solve the homeless crisis because you are making it so much money that you're able to help pour into that event. So reevaluate your top 4. And I wanted to say they had in here what the 4 major sources are. And I'm looking for them. So top millionaire real estate agents, number 1 is sphere of influence. Number 2 is repeat business. Number 3 is referrals. And number 4 is offline advertising. So that's radio, direct mail, yard signs. So those are the top 4 as from a KW research team conducted in 2017.
Say them again.
I will. Sphere of influence, repeat business, referrals, and offline advertising. So radio, direct mail, yard signs.
And when was that study?
2017. So as I look at these prospecting, go back on the previous page. Circle prospecting is a top one for me. Key relationships, corporations, builders, banks, etc. And sphere of influence and online. I get a lot from past business. If, as a new agent, that's not going to exist for you for a little bit. So I got an opportunity. If you're an agent and you want to build business over a past business, one thing you could do is what we call orphan clients. Orphan clients. Orphan clients are buyers of homes that have been in them 5 years or more. We do it when we list and sell one of our listings. That buyer gets a thank you card from us. And I instruct my assistant to capture their email address as well as their phone number. So once the contract is closed, we can call them a month later and say, congratulations, how do you like your house? How's everything going? And we start to assume that role of their agent. Because most agents just collect a commission check and move on. And they don't think about the process of, you know, possible referrals in the future from somebody who thinks you sold them the house, right? Because they don't even remember who their agent is, because their agent isn't doing their work. All right. So this is my favorite graphic in all of MREA, and it's all about what I call feeding your data beast. Okay. So essentially your lead generation efforts are going to result in appointments and an opportunity, or either an appointment or an opportunity to do business or be referred in the future. Guys, don't miss this point right here. This is your opportunity to either help them buy, sell, or invest, or help them buy, sell, or invest, or be referred to somebody that will buy, sell, or invest in the future. I'm going to go a little off script and show you why that is so important. To capture as many people as you can, even if they just bought a house. Okay. Who are our math majors? What is that called? Sine wave? Sine wave? Something like that? Okay. So this sine wave represents the life of a home buyer / seller. At this point is where they buy a home, right here. When you interact with me, I just bought and sold a house. Do you think I'm ready to buy and sell a house next week? No, I'm right here. You're interacting with me, I'm right here, right? As a consumer. They say every 5 to 10 years. So this is our 10-year cycle. Right here. Sometimes you catch people here, sometimes you catch them here, sometimes you catch them here. And what happens is you don't capture them because they're not ready to go. Or you don't contact them again because they're not ready to go. This is the part about just the cultivation part. So you just basically sit there and go, no, they're not ready. Okay, that's a crappy lead, or that's not somebody worth having a relationship with. And I have story after story, and most agents that have been in this business will have the same, is that they will have, I have somebody 2 years ago, got a phone call from Garrett Marr. Hey, Dan, I don't know if you know who I am, but yeah, I do. I remember we met at the Sammamish Chamber of Commerce back in 2008. This was literally 2 years ago. Well, my mother-in-law wants to sell her home, and I'd like to meet with you next week. So I had not talked to Garrett in 10 years. I had since we met at the Chamber of Commerce. Now he gets my email, he gets his monthly newsletter. I leave a message 4 times a year. Hey, Garrett, Stan, if you got anybody who's got real estate needs, let me know. Take care. You know, and I'm just sitting there going, I have no idea that he's even listening. Chances are it's just getting deleted, right? I don't even know. But Garrett's mother-in-law's house sold for 1.2 million. And a year later, I sold another property for her and helped her buy another one. So that represented over $75,000 in gross commission. That one person that I met 15 years ago, was that an investment? So think of your database as an investment. It's not just It's not just a set of numbers and stuff like that. It's an investment. And if you are investors, are there any investors here in the house? Anybody own an investment property? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, if you're an investor, do you inspect your investment and expect it to have a good return? Otherwise, it's not an investment, right? It's just an asset. An investment has a good return, and do investment properties need maintenance?
Yes.
Regular basis? Will it keep the value or increase the value of your property if you maintain it? It's the same thing here. We're maintaining this database and putting it in a position to provide us with a steady stream of appointments. Cool. That's right, because it will. Why? Because you're going to see attrition out of your database. I've helped a lot of people leave the area. That's hard for me because I can't help them anymore here. Right? So you're going to have attrition, which means not only do you need to fine tune it, but you need to constantly feed it. So we talked about who had how many in their database, right? Let's talk about communicating with everyone in your database. So the keys to success with communication is quantity is your goal. I know that you want to have quality communication with your people, but I never talked to Garrett, ever. We didn't have a relationship. I helped him out, helped his mother-in-law out. Happy, we're not friends. It's a business relationship. Now there are other people that are friends all in their database. Screw those people. Anyways, just saying. No, it's great. They just like, they have it. That's not how I run my business. I wish I could have more friends.
I was just gonna say, to add to that, I 1000% agree. Oftentimes even I'll connect with a lender or an inspector, and I have my go-tos, but I constantly get emails and calls and texts and everything in that name are those names that.
So they're doing it to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's worked out, if my lender can't do it, or, something to have that, oh yeah, this blah, 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 so-and-so sends me, stuff all the time, they could always be.
Is there something you can provide a lender or financial advisor or a property and casualty insurance person that isn't a direct client? Is there something of value you can provide them?
You could promote them on Facebook.
Yeah. Have them on your podcast. Promote a video about it. I just had my property and casualty insurance guy on my podcast. We talked about what's going on in the market with inflation and getting things evaluated. If you type in Gloria Chen, architect, of my podcast with her pops up. Is that good for her? Heck yeah. Talk about credibility, right? So oftentimes we're like, no, this is my lender, this is my guy. This is the one I work with, even though lenders do not supply a high volume of leads or contacts or transactions, in my experience. Except for you, right? But you're the lender. So why not build a quality database and offer them something specific, right? So we're going to get into how to segment this database, but let's talk about a little bit more about communication. So it needs to be quantity, high frequency, lots of touches, consistent. Why? Why consistent? That's how you're going to show up for their clients, right? Yeah, being top of mind. Permission-based requires you get opt-ins. I think that's the best way to do it. Hey, Sydney, Dan Edwards, Eastside Real Estate Team, how are you doing? Good. Hey, I know stuff has been crazy in the real estate market. You're probably not thinking about making a move, right?
Not at the moment.
That's fantastic. Well, I want to be a steady source for you as this market is changing. Is it okay if I just kind of send you some market information and a little bit of extra communication from time to time?
Yeah, this is gonna get good.
Awesome. How's the kids?
Doing well. I have one.
I'm sorry. How's the kid? Not expecting any other kids?
No, not yet.
Oh, that's cool. Great. So blah, 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 all that good stuff. And sometimes we flip it around and say, hey, how's your son doing? How's he loving kindergarten, et cetera. And oh, hey, by the way, just so you know, I started the real estate business and I'm really excited about it. I'm getting lots of good information. We're learning lots of things. I'd like to keep you in the loop. Do you have somebody that does that for you? No, I don't. Okay, cool. Can I be that? Sometimes they may say my mom is a real estate agent. Oh, okay, bye, see you. No, don't do that. Just say, when she kicks the bucket, is it okay if I be the one? You know what? The truth is,
Mom's on vacation.
that's right. And you don't want to work with the mom. I would say, oh, your mom, that's great, cool. Is it okay if I still keep you? And if they say, no, I have to use my mom. I can't, but we can be friends. Yeah. Well, and also, so a good friend of mine, Grant Munson, who I sold 3 or 4 homes to, he had a really good friend who was a real estate agent, right? But he didn't trust that friend because that friend he was a good friend, but it wasn't the professional showing up as a professional. So I earned that business. So you never know. And I would be persistent. I would be more persistent again than I would just, but also too, it's good to have that ask. And most people need to know what to do with your referrals. Most people need instructions. Have you told them 7 times in 1 year? The best way to introduce me is to give me a call. Let's talk about their situation and figure out the best way to introduce me. You have to do that 7 times because why? You're gonna call them and say, yeah, I gave Steve your number. Hear from Steve? No, I didn't hear from Steve because it's not Steve's job to call. It's my job. Steve's got other things going on. He's overwhelmed by the process.
Those are the best calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had somebody like, how should I do this?
Yes, but you have to train people to do that, right? Because otherwise they're just going to hand out your card or they're going to say, oh yeah, I told so-and-so. It's like, cool, can I call so-and-so? What's so-and-so's number? Right? So, but you train them to do that. And that's why these touches are so important. Now, keeping in mind, not everybody in your database is equal and they shouldn't be treated equally. Some people are going to reliably give you repeat business. In my database, they are tagged core advocates. They're organized as core advocates. And I probably have less than 10 of those. Okay. It's rare that you will have, and by core advocates, I mean multiple business referrals, multiple pieces of business. Now, you're going to have a lot of advocates, which are people that have referred you once or twice or would refer you for sure. You're my guy, you're my gal. And I call those advocates. Other people tag, Benno, do you have a database that you use? Okay, how do you organize your database?
AAA's, A, B, and C.
Yeah, so you've got different ones. Brian Buffini, you ever do that? Brian Buffini has A, B's, and C's, A plus, A, B, and C. So it just depends on how you want to organize it. But it is important to segment it, right? Because you aren't going to treat everybody the same. You're not going to treat somebody that doesn't really know you well and hasn't built mind share. You're not going to invite them to your VIP event. You're going to only treat your VIPs at your VIP event. And also, in a way to group your database, you're gonna want to know what their hobbies and interests are. And you can sometimes do that. Like some other tags that I have in my database are Seahawks fans, right? Broncos fans, so I can give them a hard time about Russell Wilson. Actually, that reminds me, I need to call Mark and give him a hard time. Hikes, people like to go on hikes, outdoors, people that are traveling, people that are renters. I do buyers, sellers, retired, past clients. And then I actually, when I have people become a little bit more hot, I'll do a hot prospect, which means in the next month, I'll do watch, and then I'll do nurture. So I've got a kind of a scale depending on how I do that. But if you segment your database, it allows you to be more customized, right? Like you can send somebody a quick bulk text. Wasn't that Seahawks game amazing? Or something like that. The bulk text or a bulk email. This is something I've done before. Is like to my advocates and core advocates. Hey, I got 2 extra tickets at Seahawks game. Who wants to go? Right? How many responses do you think you get to that?
I'll make them fight for it.
Yeah.
I'm over here like,
yeah, who do you decide? You don't have to, like bing, bing. And it's a text message, so they're responding back, oh yeah, sweet. And then now you're having a conversation. And then once they're gone, you're like, oh shoot, you know what? Somebody else just responded to me on this one. So you basically can create a level of relationship by being more segmented, right? All right. And it allows you instead of sending out a generic message, you can send a message that's specific to their interests, right? That. Yeah. So let's talk about working in the database. So this is kind of how you go from brand new to somebody that becomes a core advocate. So this here is for 19 touches to connect, 4 calls, 12 emails, 2 promotional items, and 1 annual event. Now, a high volume touch solidifies a relationship you just established, open source, few interactions. Basically, if somebody is a lead, right, meaning you have it's one-to-one, or excuse me, no one-to-one communication. That is when you apply them to your 19 touch program. Okay. And that should be something upfront, high touch. What I mean by that is, let's say we're talking about Facebook leads, right? You should have 19 touches over 7 days. Okay. 19 touches over 7 days. This says quarterly phone call, but I'm talking strictly internet leads. Okay. Just internet leads. So essentially you go, in comes the lead, phone call, text message, email, no answer, phone call, double tap. Do you guys know what double tap means? You call, they don't answer, you call right back. It's a double tap. Sometimes they answer, right? Yeah, when have you ever had a call where it rings, you're like, send a voicemail, and it rings, it's the same freaking number? Yeah, you're like, oh no, they're trying to get a hold of you. It's a double tap, it's a secret, guys, I just gave you a secret. Double tap. And then you build these items of value, like, you know, hey, here's buying with Homeward. You know, you send them some emails, you send them a follow-up, 19 touches in 7 days for internet leads. And then you're going to have a conversation. And in that conversation, you're going to find out what type of buyer they are. If they are just looking, you add them to a just looking drip campaign. If they are, if they're like, yeah, we've got to buy, but we have a home to sell, then you go ahead and go into that thing. Or, you know, I'm looking for a real estate agent. Okay, great. Let's set up a strategy session to learn how to get financing in this market where you can afford the house you really want to buy, because we have a lot of cool incentives. So these are all from here over. That's people that you haven't met. Once people get moved on to the met or contact basis, you should have a 36 plan built out. Now we have a lot of these 36 touch campaigns built out in Command, our database. And what you do is you do a quarterly call and you do a monthly neighborhood nurture. That is a stat about their property and specifically about their neighborhood. It actually sends out how many homes were sold, what the median home price, the days on market, all of that stuff. As a matter of fact, I'll show you what one looks like. Oops. So this is basically they get an email on a monthly basis. Oh, shoot. Sorry, this mouse is very weird. So it says Vice Sphere is 661 people. Oh, goodness, I've got some work to do. That's good. Okay, here we go. Tucker Maxwell, Allied Resource, mortgage broker. Got his email. Here's my contact health score. So this is telling me how good this contact is with the information that I have. Goal is in command. It's a little gamified, so it kind of helps get you a little bit more there. So over here, we've got his address, which takes us this address. When you plug in the home address, it automatically takes this neighborhood market snapshot. And once a month, actually, look at that. We're going to add him to my monthly. Monthly neighborhood snapshot. Boom. And I'm also going to add him to my quarterly call plan. Quarterly call plan. So now what's going to happen is he's already gotten the email, and that email went to his inbox. And I'm going to show right there. This is what, when he clicks on his email, it's going to show about Wilburton. The home's kind of available, the price, and when you go neighborhood stats, it's right there. Neighborhood stats for Wilburton. So you can kind of see average home price, 3 selling 7 million, and you can kind of search for a place. Oh, that's interesting. That's for commute times. So this is just a snapshot to give them an idea, and allows them to kind of look around and look at properties. And when he clicks on that information in my contact record, if he were to click on it, it would show here that he looked at it. And so it allows you to kind of peer in to who in your database you're interacting with. So it allows for that. Well, everybody on the mobile version of the app, I can look and see who's recently viewed. And recently viewed market snapshot, and I can call them. Hey, how's everything going? How's life? How are the kids? How's the family? You don't need to talk about real estate, but what's happening now with this over communication is they saw your email, they went to your webpage, they just got a call from you. Who's their realtor of choice? The person that they just saw that, right? So that's mind share. You have successfully earned mind share. And welcome in, Ashley. And so now if I look at my tasks, I have a due tomorrow, a call with him. So now all I have to do is I go to my task system. Don't judge me here. Again, don't judge me when you look at all my past due tasks. But do you see that spinning? So here are my calls. All of these people in my sphere that are set up on my quarterly call list. Hey, Dan Edwards here. How you doing? Just leave a voicemail. I hope the family is great. I hope life is good. If you hear of anybody making a move in 2023, let me know. Appreciate your referral. So that's your 36 touch program. So right now, what I showed you on the 36 touch is 12 emails and 4 calls. So you have to develop the other 12 emails. So what it can be about, whatever you want it to be about. If you want it to be a more in-depth blog post about how to buy in this market, if you want it to be about fun things to do in that community, right? Make it you. That's the creativity on the model, but send it out on the 15th of every month. That's your personal email to them. So now you've got a neighborhood market snapshot, which you could send out on the 1st of the month. And then on the 15th of the month, that's 24. So you've got 24 touches going on. You got your 4 touches going on. And then after that, events or get-togethers. Maybe you like to throw, like what we did, our team is on the 30th of November. We have a restaurant down in Bellevue, right next to the Snowflake Lane. Do you guys know the Snowflake Lane fiasco? Like, oh God, I stay away from that after this. But what we did is we didn't throw our own snowflake lane. We just said, we got a little room, come by, have some appetizers and drinks, then go take your snot nose little brats out to check out Snowflake Lane. So we're piggybacking on community events rather than throwing a big one. We've also rented a movie, what's it called? We've done pumpkin patch stuff, summer barbecues, around Washington Brewers Festival. Like, hey, come on down to the Brewers Festival. And, you know, obviously that's why you segment it, right? Because you certainly don't want your teetotalers there, right? You set up like a tea separate for them. So does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay. From current slide. Oh. All right. Oh, warning TCPA. Okay, I gotta read this. Do not call people on the do not call list. Got it? Okay, cool. All right, so what we're going to do now. Yeah, don't call or text. Yeah, and just so you know, Command has the ability to text, mass text to people. That's why you need the opt-in. And so here's what I've done in Command with that feature. So I created a 2-text smart plan. That first text says, hey, this is Dan Edwards with the Eastside Real Estate Team, and I'm texting you from my database. Is that okay? Question mark. And then the second day it was like something like, I hope you're having a great week. Okay. And what that does is that creates a setup where I can just send that out to everybody. And now if I want, if somebody says, you know, I would appreciate not getting text from you. So then I can take them off. Somebody would be like, oh, hey, that's cool, Dan. I thought your number was this one. It's like, because it's 2 different numbers. It will be 2 different numbers. It always is. All right. So what size of database do you need? And if you guys, I'm not sure what page this is on, but there's one that says number 5 database size. Do you guys have that? Number 5 database size. It should be in your lead generation stuff. No?
Yeah, I saw it.
So we have 2 different books. One is like a light version. And this one is okay, then in your scratch paper, we'll write this down, because what I want you to walk away from is a business plan, right? All right, so 6% of the people in your database, 6% of the people in your database, write down 6%, will buy and sell each year. Now that's a rough calculation based on home ownership rate of 64%, okay? And people move every 9 to 10 years. So let's say you can convert 50% of that 6%. So if you take a database of 500 times 0.06 times 0.5, that's 15 appointments a year. Now, Rob, his conversion rate is going to be higher. So your database at 500 is going to give you every appointment you need to close the deal. If your database at 500 gets 36 touches. Yeah. Okay. And that's all you have to do. Your business is set. Okay. Now, it also says that when you ask for 4% for a referral, 4% of your database give it to you. And a referral, let's just say you convert a referral at 50% as well. So take 500 times 0.04, excuse me, times 5 equals 10 appointments. So that's 25 appointments. So in a database of 500, you're going to have 15 appointments from that database that are actually doing something, and 10 referrals from that database. That makes sense? So if you were to have 25 appointments this next year at your current commission and your current close rate, would that get you to your financial goals? Yes or yes? Probably everybody in this room. At 500. Now, do the math on the size of your database? You want to do the math?
On my, context.
So let's see, you said 100, right? You want to do the math on 100?
Yeah.
Let's do the math on 100. Because I would say the average agent is probably 100. And they don't even market to that 100. So we got 100 times 0.06 times 0.5, that's 3. So write down 3. 500 times 100 times 0.04 times 0.5, 2. So that's 5 deals. So 5 total potential deals from that database of 100. Is that enough for you? Okay, that's the right answer. I know. So what is the answer there then? Feed the database. You got to feed the database. Because also too, when you sell those 25 deals from that database, those don't show up next year. So you've got to add at least 25 more people in a year at least, but probably increase the ratios. I would always be adding 5 people a week. So let's talk about lead generation best practices. Okay, so go back to your 411 on the back, and you should have this page here. Let me give you some best practices while you're looking for that. First, lead generate every day. 3 hours or as many as it takes to achieve your appointment goal. Time block for lead generation. And actually, I know you're online. Honor that time block. So what does 3 hours a day look like? 1 hour of preparation. Hour 2 of action. Hour 3 of follow-up calls. So that's 3 hours. So you're getting your list together, whatever. If you're using command, you just basically call the number that pops up there. Yes. First hour is preparation. Second hour is action, calls, texts, emails, social posts. Third hour is follow-up. So some lead generation traps, not using both prospecting and marketing, right? So we said it's prospecting based, marketing enhanced. Relying exclusively on referrals for additions to your database. So not meeting more people, but just getting referrals and adding. Undervaluing the benefit of the touch campaigns or not using touch campaigns purposefully. Avoiding quarterly calls. I do this. I haven't talked to this guy in forever. I'm not even sure if they notice or remember. I do that. Don't do that. Don't be me. Not entering all your leads into your database. With command on your phone, your contact list can be synced to command. Every contact in your database can be synced to command. So you don't have to do the entry, but you do have to clean it up because some of you have jerkwad as a name of somebody. So, is it just me? And it's probably not a polite thing. Oh, look who's calling me. Not answering that call. So you probably want to change that. So also make this is the thing that command solved. It allows us to have everybody in one place. I got to tell you, it's been 16 years of hell with all the disconnected databases. You have operations, you have commissions, you get paid, you got websites and all this stuff. And command is one place where all of that stuff can function in that place. If you're a brand new agent, you don't need to spend any additional money. It has everything you need to run $1 million business on it. I promise you that. There are people doing it. And despite what you hear, not taking advantage of Facebook ads in command as a low-cost source. All right, so you're going to complete your lead generation page 5 to 10 minutes and then we'll take a break. And that is for touch campaigns, right? Where it says how many contacts you need to achieve your economic goal. Do you guys have that? Okay, cool. So how many contacts do you need? And that goes back to the 500, etc. Contacts in my database today. If you know that number, contacts needed to add to my database. Add each a month. And then write down your current lead generation sources and any future. And if when you get this done, if you guys want to take a break, fine. I think we can kind of get the rest of this content done by 2:30. I know that I said 9 to 2, but if you hang with me, the rest of it will be kind of quick. Is that cool? Okay. Who would like to share with me anything they wrote down or your ahas?
I have one, Dan. Can you hear me?
Putting yourself out there. in, like,
Oh,
different
maybe.
ways can really help generate like future leads, current leads as well. Like my parents' old agent that helped sell their house, he had like stickers and he just put them everywhere. Wow. In our hometown, and he had like a big red beard. So that's like what kind of made him stand out. But he had these stickers, you can see them literally everywhere, and he was like one of the top sellers.
Yeah, when you think about, forget about real estate for a second, you think about corporate America. What you would have to do in corporate America to earn $250,000 annual salary. Right? And then if I were to tell you, you gotta knock 500 doors every month, you're like, nah, I don't want to do that. Right? It seems kind of weird, like 500 a month is not bad. 125 a week. Probably take you 3 hours. Right? I mean, if you just go knock on doors and just connect with people in a neighborhood.
It takes 200 homes somewhere down to the back of the front, and I deliver it to his neighbors,
Every,
month.
there you go.
And it takes 2 hours. Now it is walk into the neighborhood, sidewalk to the door, down the sidewalk. And I can tell you.
I was gonna say, it's good for your health too.
What's the time doing it? If I walk, I 0.9 miles.
Win-win. It's good for your health. Good for your sanity too. And then again, there's another 411 where you're gonna take those add number contacts, make calls, send emails, so you can kind of see how this is starting to come together to have the very specifics you need. Any other ahas?
I like how you said quantity over quality with the touches, things like you got to the top.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is it will get better quality over time. but everybody's always trying to have something that's just perfect. And I gotta say, I'm a ready, fire, aim all day long. And if I shoot enough time to hit the target.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Yeah, and sometimes they get them.
Anybody write down some action items that they're gonna take action on?
I like how you were talking about how to filter your clientele and your.
Right, so basically taking the time to organize the database so that when you communicate to them, it's more of a sincere communication. Okay, so we're gonna blast through, so that is actually 2 of the 5 models. We're gonna blast through the last 2 in this last half hour. And because I'm sitting in a room with people that have a 1-level business, nothing wrong with that, but when you get to that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th level, the budget model does become a little bit more relevant. Okay, so, but at the same time, if you guys are all believing in the why that you have, by the end of 2023, you're gonna have to really pay attention to this budget model. And it is that planning, a budget is a planning tool, P&Ls. It's about investing, not just spending money, and practicing accountability.
I know that you're done.
So let me just go over these terms again, because we talked about it to begin with, is the cost of sales is the cost of acquiring a revenue. And when you list a house, you gotta pay for photography unless you're Spencer, because Spencer's a photographer. Operating expenses is if you hire an admin, right? You're gonna hire an admin. Now, an admin can be an expense if they're an employee, or they can be a cost of goods sold if you do it on a per transaction basis. Does anybody here use a transaction coordinator? There's transaction coordinators you can do for like $400 per transaction. That is when it becomes a cost of goods sold, because you're only paying it at that time. But it's that is an operating expense. That gross profit is the revenue left over after the cost of goods sold, and then net income is before taxes but after expenses. Okay, cool terminology. So these are the benchmarks: 30, 30, 40. And if you're below that, that means your 40 is going to be 60, right? So whatever you do. But I want to give you kind of the MREA kind of numbers. Now, this is cost of sales. When somebody runs a large team and they have a listing, so Sydney here is on my team, right? When he sells something, half of that goes to him as the buyer specialist. The other half goes to the team. So that becomes a cost of goods sold. I wouldn't incur that cost if he wasn't selling that property. So, or helping someone buy that property. And then we've got compensation, which is the admin at 14%. Lead generation is at 9%. And this is the one where if you're really tracking these numbers closely, you're making sure that you're not exceeding these numbers, because it happens quickly where you do, especially when it comes to compensation for people. Occupancy is low, education, office supplies is all very low.
There was an extra one. Oh, there was,
And this is for a business
yeah, and this is
that
the.
has the CGI.
Mute your
of $3
microphone.
million.
Mute.
All right, so here, this is kind of the benchmarks. Right now, everybody in this room is here at the 150 ish, 150 to 340, probably right there. And this right here represents what? Your split with Keller Williams. It's 20. When you sell, it's 21,000, right? 18,000 to the office, 3,000 to Keller Williams International. So if you're selling 150,000 in GCI, your expenses are at 38% and your net income is almost 50%. So maybe that goes back along the lines. I would really not have $57,000 in expenses if I was making that. That would not be wise. But where you start to see the scale is here, because you start to run into the need for leverage. Again, we're blessed in an area where our housing prices are higher. So it really is a good return on investment, and you shouldn't have to. You should be more profitable, especially if you run a prospecting-based business with enhancement on marketing. Where you run into a problem is you're relying 100% on marketing, right? So those radio ads or something like that. And I know somebody that's highly successful running radio ads, Wes Jones, Sell with Wes, probably hear him. So this is a little bit more detailed P&L to kind of see salaries and benefits. You can see that it's pretty low monthly salary. But as it goes along, it starts to grow. That's monthly, that's yearly. And then you can go ahead and plug those in. Okay, so like I said, there's not a whole lot there for us to talk about, but the good news is that in the email that I sent you, it's got that Excel spreadsheet, so you can plug your own numbers in there. So if you already do this for tax purposes, you can grab your expenses and plug them into that, one of the tabs at the bottom, and you can see how you're matching up against the models. All right, organizational model. So people want to know, how do I get to $1 million business? And this is what a $1 million 7th level organization looks like. So essentially there's yourself, the owner, you've got CEO, you have a director of lead generation with 2 outbound, 1 inbound, 1 outbound. So this is somebody that is dialing circle prospecting. This is somebody that's processing incoming leads. And then they have an outbound sales associate. So essentially, these people are just to take warm leads and hand them off to the buyer's agents and the listing agents. Then you have a director of sales and showing assistant. So this is one org model of many, okay? And again, you can build it in a lot of different ways, but let's just kind of talk about how you get from where you are now to a 7th level business, right? Well, the first thing you need to do is have personal productivity yourself. Have the amount of business, have the amount of lead generation, have the amount of capture and conversions to hit the appointments that you're getting. When you're at a spot of say 20 to 30, that's when you want to start to do leverage. So if you are nailing lead generation, you've got presentations to buyers and sellers, you're showing buyers and sellers, marketing, sales, writing, negotiating contracts, and have mastered all of that stuff, plus focusing on your mindset and vision and your goals, you're hitting it. There's a few people in this room right now that are in this space right now. So how do you get to your first hire? And it's like, the first hire is always going to be your admin. And we call them executive admins. Some people call them ops directors, but the first hire could be a full-time transaction coordinator. However, what you really want is somebody that knows your passion for your business and has a systems mentality with a growth mindset. That individual is going to allow you to do more business. And when we talk about bringing people in for business, there's 3 different types. We have potential talent, emerging talent, and proven talent. Potential talent is somebody who is brand new to the business. They've never done anything. And we really don't know, they may be inexperienced. They're going to be inexpensive. That person hiring as an assistant shouldn't be an expensive hire. But then you have potential talent, which is somebody who is entering real estate, but they have the natural skills and abilities. Might cost a little bit more versus emerging talent. And that's somebody with all 3 qualities as well as a track record. They're going to cost more. So when you think of your first hire, you should always have at least 6 months, maybe a year's worth of their salary ready to go. And if after 90 days, they have not increased your production, let them go. If they haven't increased your production over your goals. So if you look back at your goals and you say, okay, this year I did 30 transactions. Next year we need to get to 50, and you're not getting to 50. You're either doing their job and your job, or they're not talent. But one of the things about hiring stuff and what you have to be good at is you need to learn how to hire. And then you learn how to train. And then you have to have accountability. And if you're not willing to get great at these things, you probably should just stay as a solo agent. Because it's when you're dealing with people, it's about making their lives better. And if you're trying to make a change in the world, you probably want to have people that think like you as well. And if that's not a good fit, and you're just like, I'm doing this on my own, I can say, as somebody who has trained, hired, and fired a lot of agents, people on my team, it's not easy. And it takes a lot of skill. There are some people that are probably better at it than I am, I'm sure of it. So once you have learned those skills of hiring, finding talent and bringing them on, now you're thinking, how can I make my system bigger? Because you've taken the plan that we built for 2023 and you're saying, how do I double that? And in order to double that, you have to make sure your systems are firing on all cylinders. I just hopped up and looked at my sphere of influence. I realized how few people at the top there have all the information that I need for them. So I have to re-inspect my system and see what am I missing, right? And then learning to succeed through others, where it goes with you, your lead admin, and notice these are two admin, a transition coordinator and a lead admin. So I still haven't even added another agent to that mix. So then once you get to 4 levels, you can add a showing assistant and a lead manager. And it's interesting. This is one way to do it. The part 2 is that lead manager has OSA, ISAs. That lead admin has a transaction coordinator and a listing manager, and then a showing assistant. What are they doing here? What do you guys see in this pattern? What's happening? Leverage, yep.
Delegation.
Delegation, right? Because before you're the listing manager, right? Before you're your own showing assistant, right? And so you're kind of compartmentalizing your job into these different aspects. And then let's go on to the 5th level, part 1 and part 2. So I'm not at this stage. I'm at a 4th level, basically. And mine looks a little differently. So then here we get a listing agent, buyer agent, showing assistants, director of operations, transaction coordinator. What's different about this? Hold on. 4th level. It's a lot like 2, isn't it? They added another inbound, outbound, and another showing agent. Now these showing assistants these could all be buyer's agents. And actually so I was sitting in a room with some top agents that are what we call rainmakers. That's when you're here, you're the rainmaker. And they have gone away from this delegation where there's a listing and a lead buyer's agent. Theirs is a director of sales and then agents underneath. And those agents can be listing agents or selling agents. And then they have a listing manager and a transaction coordinator. So it can be built a lot of different ways. And the most common way right now is that, where you have one person that's kind of in charge of the sales team, and then you have all the sales agents underneath. And it's kind of how it goes. Any questions there?
For those on licensed agents, the senior manager, they're all in production.
These are not in production. These are salaried agents. Right here, all salaried. These are low salary plus commission, right? Because they're just dialing and qualifying. And then this team has to work good with this team because they're cultivating an appointment. And then these guys have to close and sell, right? So it kind of, it gets really, it has to have a high level of commitment to the product. And I've had times where they set an appointment that wasn't really an appointment. And this guy or gal is ticked that they went on an appointment where it wasn't really qualified. So it's a lot of moving parts when you get to this spot. And you really have to have a high level of clarity and accountability. That I'm seeing here. I just showed the listing agent bounced out. It's like a separate listing agent here.
In part 1, you're the listing agent.
Oh, so it's you, yeah. So now you move out of the listing agent role. And then this is where you move to the 7th level, where you're not in production anymore. You're just about vision, accountability, and growth. And then there's also this whole director of expansion. And again, that's the spot. And I won't talk about the 5th model expansion much at all, except to say that once you have perfected this level, the next thing to do is to open up other markets, right? And I gotta say, in this day and age, selling real estate in Arizona versus selling Arizona in Florida or Texas, it may be a little different, but the process is still the same. The psychology is still the same. So if you have the capacity to take, that you've built this great system like McDonald's did, why wouldn't you just start to franchise? And that's what the expansion model is. It's just franchising this. And it's a way to leverage your skill set that you have built over the last 5 years into something that will create a higher level of wealth. Because now you've got a business here that does 1 million, you have a business here that does 1 million. Now you have a business here. So in every state, Ashley, in every state, you're gonna have a team that does $1 million in gross commission.
Oh, yeah.
So we're not gonna talk about that. Okay, so in your business plan, it does have this, and here's what I want you to do with regards to this. Is I did say that everybody here is close to level 1. But if you go to page 25. Or excuse me, page 24. I want you to just draw out your current organizational plan. Yeah, you, and then write down your numbers for areas of mastery in all of these. What are my areas of mastery? Lead generation, presentations to buyers and sellers, showing buyers and marketing sellers, writing and negotiating contracts, coordinating sales, hiring, training, accountability. So who wants to share with me where they're at with number 1? 1 to 4. Who would like to share where they're at with number 1? Scale 1 to 4. Janet, where are you at?
Oh, I'm fine.
You're a 1, okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like, I'm just grasping what's up.
got it.
Serious.
We got you.
Maybe a 2.
Maybe a 2, okay. So there's some room.
Yeah.
Right? Tony, how about you?
1.
Tony was a Redfin, so we love him. Welcome over. We're gonna show you how to build a business. That's awesome. Bob? No. Like if you would say, I'm a master of lead generation, cultivation, and creating, like that would be a 4. You're just pretty good, I think. Like I'm brand new and I don't even know what to do, it would be a 1. And that's,
To me, it's a cycle. So when I need them, I generate more when I don't. So
see, that's the creativity, but the system should be consistent.
shoot.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's it, right? Is looking at it at what it is like, hey, I need more business, let me go do it. Versus, hey, it's Monday, let me call. Hey, it's Tuesday, let me call. And then you have that consistent level of business. So mastering it is keeping it in the where it belongs, which is this is my job.
Yeah, and see, that's what I'm doing. It's a lead generation. Years maybe.
Yeah.
And I've been, living off of referrals for the last 6 years. So I am kind of with that.
Could you imagine if you take it to another level?
That's kind of what I want.
Right.
I can get to another level. And I just know I have enough time to.
You do. Yeah. Okay. It's good. Thank you for sharing. All right, so going back to your 411 that we filled out. It should be mostly filled out. I hope that you're walking away with that because it is your business plan. And I hope that you have a clear idea of how many contacts you need to have, how many appointments you need to set, the skill set you need to improve that, so that you could work towards that 5-year goal and that someday goal. And, you know, us team leaders of Ben Kinney Networks, we chat every morning. And a lot of times we will talk about what it is that we do that's significant. And to me, this is honestly my truth about what I do is I help change lives because it's about shining light on this tremendous opportunity that we have to help people with their highest, most expensive single asset. And at the same time, just giving ahas like, hey, we can do it better. Like, I love selling real estate. Most importantly, I love helping real estate agents get that light bulb turned on and do it. So I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day for this. I hope it was useful. I hope it guides you in the right direction. Does anybody not have this book? Okay, I'm gonna get you guys copies of this book because it's my Bible. It's, I mean, basically I'll say turn to chapter 4, verses 3 and 7. Let's recite them together. I'm just kidding. Who else doesn't have one? Spencer and. Do I have a stapler? No, but I think they do have a stapler in the training. So sorry. So that's it, guys. That's all I got for you. Thank you again so much. I know I went really quickly over this last part, but honestly, those first 2 models, if you just start nailing those things, then let's talk about the budget and the organizational model. Because, right? Cool. Giles, Leanne, did you guys, Ashley, do you have a hand raised? Do you have a question?
I
I don't think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.